This is S-4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S-4, where we talk about the real issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S-4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains in Washington State. We also cover topics such as disaster and terrorist response and preparation, and veterans issues as appropriate. So, you know what? Wow. It's almost July. On what, Wednesday? Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe. So tonight we're talking Royal Assassinations. Mm-hmm. Who caused them and why? We have Barry Gaunt with us tonight to interject. Next week is our 4th of July too. But no, we actually have our 4th anniversary on the show. Which, you know what? Anytime you look at podcasts and some of these radio shows, and would I think you'd agree with me, Barry. A lot of the shows go down about their second year.
Yeah, they do. They'll hang in for a year, and then they start going on their second. And anytime you can make 4 years of it, man, you're going to be going strong. So, yeah. Congratulations, and I look forward to next week
to another 4 years.
There you go. Another 4 years.
That's what we're talking about next week. We'll have a whole lot of our old time guests and folks that have been on the show and with the show in prior years on next week. So look forward to next week. Anyway, Cole, you've got a shout out.
Yes. So, yesterday, me and Kayla went with a couple family members, Alex and Carrie, to Bigfoot axe throwing in Ferndale.
You know what? That sounds fun.
It was. It was very fun. They do have a website, guys, bigfootaxethrowing.com. Go check them out. It's $20 a person for an hour. It's just like bowling, really. Like it feels like bowling, but you're throwing axes and
you're throwing a pointy stick with a blade on it.
Exactly, and they teach you how to do it. They go through everything with you. They teach you how to do the scoring, and you get one free drink with your ticket, and like non-alcoholic, like pop or water.
Okay, cool.
So because there is no alcohol there,
can you imagine?
Which is probably a damn good idea.
Can you imagine a bunch of drunks trying to throw an axe?
Yeah,
that happens up here. I think,
but that's the thing. Like, as many of you know, the S4 team, we don't really drink, so it's hard for us to find things that we can all do together that are fun.
Right.
In the evenings, when everyone else is going to bars and doing that kind of thing, this is something that you can do. They're open from 5 p.m.
Is there an age limit with them?
There is. You have to be at least 10 years old.
10?
And if they don't feel, though, that a minor can actually throw an axe safely, then they won't allow them to participate. But they can spectate, too.
Oh, okay, cool.
And they do have a pool table there. They're going to start doing cornhole tournaments. It's actually a really cool open place. It's right downtown Ferndale. And
Ferndale.
Yeah,
that's close to the Lumi, where all the Sasquatch sightings and UFO sightings are. Lummy. Yeah, I always called them Lummy.
They've probably done it to their faces. They want to throw an axe at you.
Right? They'd probably be good at it. Yeah.
So, but yeah, go check them out, guys. That's Ferndale Axe Throwing, or Bigfoot Axe Throwing in Ferndale.
And folks, it's 4th of July. Please be safe and sane. It's fireworks season. Fortunately,
I'll be safe.
Fortunately,
but I can't guarantee the last one.
Yeah,
you're not sane any time of the year.
Either.
Come on
but
now.
Fortunately, it's been a wetter season this year than normal, so hopefully we won't have as many fires with fireworks. But have fun. Just be safe doing it. Anyway, how you doing, Barry?
Hey, man, I am doing fantastic. It's an awesome time. We've had a lot of... Today was the rain day in Kentucky. We just had some massive storms, a lot of flooding up here and everything else, flash flooding. So, great day, but gotta love just sitting around, had the windows open, listening to the rain pour down as I was watching puddles form.
I don't mind that, though.
Come down the driveway.
I don't mind listening.
Yeah, I kind of like it. It kind of just relaxes you really, really nicely, and it was a good thing. You know, we've had some, any more strange weather. I mean, what about yesterday? We had reports of you can't breathe because of the Sahara Desert storm.
I heard about that.
And and it was kind of gray and weird looking yesterday for a while, and we had a really short kind of rain. Had some strange lightning yesterday, but I mean, to tell you, what can I say about 2020? To just keep rolling.
It's the Jumanji year. That's 2020.
Exactly.
The Jumanji year.
Oh, hell no. The last thing we need is those big-ass plants that eat people.
Venus flytraps.
There's a few places that those could go, and I'd be okay with.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
And before she says it, because she's already on Spreaker with us, S-4 may not condone the use of man-eating plants. Cole Wegleiter, he condones the use of man-eating plants.
No, you know what? I'm waiting for the land sharks.
Oh, jeez.
That's what I'm waiting for. The land sharks to come up the Skagit River and then come into, and come out of the river. Yeah.
Sharknado, here we come. Yeah.
So now, third hour, so it is Royal Assassinations tonight. Third hour, we are talking JFK and more of the United States-based assassinations and
along with some current events and, of course, our creature battles.
Well, creature battles, but so Barry has been going crazy in Kentucky with insane amounts of UFO and alien abduction, and we're going to hit that a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it needs to be hit.
Crazy stuff. Yeah, we're having reports. It's funny. It's coming from certain areas, and it's the MUFON side of it is not that strong, and I'm not getting a lot of reports through the MUFON sites, through MUFON, but man, personally, I'm getting calls and text messages and emails about everything, and then the phone calls just keep on coming, and there's a lot of interesting stuff coming out, so interesting times.
Well, it is 2020. I said a couple weeks ago that because everyone's looking at, we had COVID, then we've got murder hornets, which they've kind of gone away. Then we've got riots. Then we've got oh God, it was what next? But somebody had a timeline, but they had it mixed up. They had aliens for September, and I said no. Aliens are coming in July. Maybe I'm right.
You can.
Hey.
Last thing I need right now is an alien to be like, "Yo, Kayla, come here."
In that one, no, I don't want to be right.
No.
I don't want to be right.
Well, my call is rakes in July.
A rake? Oh no!
There you go, Kayla.
Yeah,
we don't want rakes.
So Kyle has got to be just happy as heck about that.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. Bring on the rakes.
Yeah.
I'll hang out with my peeps.
Okay, so we are going to start with Kayla
Yeah.
Who do you have for us tonight?
All right, so I am starting over in Russia with the Romanovs family and Rasputin.
Oh, great one.
Yeah. So everybody knows the Tsar of Russia was Nicholas II.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and he was married to Alexandria, and they had 4 daughters. That was Olga, Tatiana, Maria, and of course Anastasia. And then they had their boy, which was Alexei. And when Alexei was born, he was born with severe hemophilia. Because, well, back then they had no idea why, but now we know it's a lot to do with inbreeding and royal lines.
Right.
So he was super fragile, and he was super sick all the time. So they found this guy that at the time was known as the Mad Monk.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been Rasputin. And he came in and he had a way of soothing Alexia. And he told them not to let any of the doctors give any of the medications that they'd been giving him. And everybody thought he was this great healer because Alexia got a lot better. Well, come to find out, in the day, what they were treating hemophilia with was aspirin. And everybody knows now that, aspirin causes bleeding and thinning of the blood.
Yep.
So, of course, he would have gotten better taken off of the aspirin regimen.
Yeah.
But, anyways, so the entire royal family believed that this Mad Monk Rasputin was like some basically modern day god. And that he could cure people and that he had healing powers and that you needed to listen to him and he was a prophet and all of this stuff. So he kind of, when the royal family, when Russia ended up in the war in like the early 1900s, 1916, 1915, he started basically telling Alexandra, which was the wife, what to tell Nicholas and how he was going to win the war and he needed to do this and he needed to do that. So the Russian nobles were getting upset about the fact that this random dude from Siberia that was like a nobody was basically ruling the country at that point. And actually there's a lot of people that say that the character Jafar from Aladdin is based off of Rasputin.
I was wondering, because Rasputin's in Disney. Is
He
it the
is.
same one?
No, Rasputin, and that's not Disney. That's like Pixar or something.
Yeah, okay,
but
okay.
it was the Anastasia story.
Yeah.
With him and the little bat that kept falling apart and shit. But, and so all these noble guys, they got together and they were like, we need to kill Rasputin. Because if we kill Rasputin, then Nicholas will be able to rule the country the way that he needs to without having this dude telling him what to do. So they decided that they were going to kill him. So on December 29th, they invited him to a big dinner. And they laced all of the food and the wine with cyanide. And he ate and ate and ate until...
Izzy says Anastasia was 20th Century Fox.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So it is now Disney.
Huh?
Yeah,
It is now Disney.
basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
They own it.
Yep.
So he ate all of this cyanide food and drank all of this cyanide wine, and it had like no effect on him. So everybody
Absolutely
was like,
none, yeah.
okay, like that doesn't happen. You should have died. All right. So this one noble guy, he decides, man, this is pissing me off. So he shoots him at point blank range. And he leaves him in the hall. He left him for dead. He went on with his time, and he was like, okay, I got to go clean up that body later. Went back in, and Rasputin was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And he was out in the courtyard of the palace trying to run away from the palace to go and find Alexandria and tell her that they were trying to murder him. So, while he was running through the courtyard, they shot him 3 more times, once in the back of the head, to which he still didn't die, and he was still trying to crawl off and find Alexandria. So then they beat him vigorously, and they stabbed him with bayonets, and it still still didn't kill him. So they bound him up and they threw him into a frozen river. And finally they found his body a few days later, and the cause of death that they had figured out was drowning.
Yep.
Huh.
How the hell you going to drown in a frozen river?
They
After
had
being shot how many times?
That was the whole point, is that they had a hole under it so that he wouldn't be found and that the water would take him away and he couldn't get back out and survive it.
Right, yeah, he got underneath the ice and he couldn't breathe. He couldn't have any didn't have any way to breathe at all. So yeah, that's Rasputin was one of those very strange people.
Man, it was weird.
He was almost
but it is said by the people of Russia that before he was put into the frozen river, he had put a curse on the Romanov family. The curse had said something like, within a year of my death, all the Romanovs will be dead.
Huh.
And I will raise again in a new body.
Not very nice.
And the only reason I think that's crazy is because, well, within a year, a little short of a year, they had assassinated the entire Romanov family in a horrific way, too.
Yes. Yeah, that was a bloodbath there.
It was
I watched
terrible.
that show. Anastasia made it.
Honey, so you know how like in Disney and in all these movies for kids, they kind of go over what actually happened. Like
it was made by Fox. They never lie. Okay.
Anyway,
Neither does the internet.
Yeah.
The internet's always true.
So shortly after Rasputin was killed, the royal family, the Romanovs, all of them got exiled to Siberia. So they went and they lived in Siberia in this like secret compound type thing for a while, where they really weren't allowed outside. They weren't allowed to do much of anything.
Ooh, the bunker.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Until they became a big enough threat, because they were afraid that they would rise to power again, and it would be this whole big shit show again. So again, some of the noble Russians decided that they were going to assassinate the entire family. So they got them together and they shot them all at point blank range. And then they beat and stabbed them with their bayonets until they died. Well, after they beat and stabbed them with their bayonets, they took them to a forest and dropped their bodies down a mine shaft. And then grenaded the mine shaft so that it would cave in on them.
Damn.
But some of the people that had done the assassination went to a local bar and they got super drunk and started telling all the locals that they'd killed them all and where their bodies were. So the next day, the general made them go back, dig up the bodies, cut the bodies into pieces, cover them with sulfuric acid so that they were unrecognizable, burn them, and bury them in a shallow grave.
Oh, it was a shallow grave? Nope. They can dig out of a shallow grave.
Right. So I'm just saying, when Russians want to kill somebody back then, man, they really made sure that they were dead.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, put the new word on murder. Yeah.
So, I'm gonna throw out this here because this was interesting, and it came as a little side note to Rasputin stating that they'd be dead within a year. Mm-hmm. Well, they were all dead within a year. Mm-hmm. And then he had said that I will rise again in a new body.
Okay.
Marilyn
Monroe?
Charles Manson.
Oh.
Years later had claimed that he was the resurrection of Rasputin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why he did what he did. That's why he wore his hair the way he did. That's why he had the all-seeing eye, and everything else was because he was the reincarnation of Rasputin. And also claimed that he knew everything about Rasputin. Mm-hmm. And he did actually weirdly know some details that weren't, like, common knowledge. So everybody was kind of like, maybe. And then, he tried to kill himself how many times in how many weird ways and didn't die either.
Hey, Kayla, did you ever watch Hellboy 1?
Yes, I did.
There's what, 3 of them now?
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of like, that was supposed to be Rasputin coming back in that one too, wasn't it?
Right. Every really super bad guy is Rasputin coming back.
That's right, exactly.
It's either Rasputin or Hitler. It's one of the two.
Right.
They're like, oh my gosh, that is him incarnate. No, man. It's just another bad guy.
Yep. They just keep on coming back.
They do. It's terrible. You'd think they'd stop reincarnating these people by now.
Well, that's the wonderful thing about reincarnation.
At that point, they should reincarnate as an ant, and then you just step on them.
And then somebody just sits there with a bite and burning him. No.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think about the whole reincarnation thing? Do you think it's possible that, like, Charles Manson was the reincarnated Rasputin?
So, I firmly believe in reincarnation, without a doubt. Is it possible? It is. I think my problem with anytime you come up and say, I'm going to curse you, and that's encouraging because everybody's got followers. That's encouraging your followers to incite your curse to come to reality.
Right. So more of the idealism was bigger than the person?
It's more of a you put that thought into reality, it happens because you've got people out there that listen and, oh, okay, well, you just gave me a green light to go out and do it.
Gotcha.
But honestly, the way they did it, I mean, come on, sulfuric acid, chopped up the body, there ain't no way in hell they made sure they were dead.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, they made sure that nobody could bring them back. I mean, that nobody could find out exactly what happened to them or where their bodies were. And if I'm correct, I don't think anyone knows where their bodies are to this day.
They did actually. There was a National Geographic documentary where they did find the burial place of the Romanovs. And they did actually dig them up and do DNA testing to make sure that was them. And it was all of them, and they were all accounted for.
Really?
But that was just a couple of years back. I think it was 2014 that they did that.
So what's your thoughts, Cole? You're sitting over there thinking.
Well, I remember them finding the Romanovs. I remember there is still speculation on Anastasia. They don't believe the little girl was her.
Huh.
Because they're not even... The problem was the body of the smallest child was so deconstructed that they had no idea if it was even a boy or a girl.
Not even by DNA?
They couldn't tell anything about it. They just knew it was different from the rest of them. It wasn't the same person.
Well, and they did while they were doing all of the assassination of the royal family, they also killed all the handmaids and everything in there too. So actually in the grave that they did find, there were, I believe it was 11 or 12 people.
And how many were on the Romanov family?
They had 5 kids and then the mom and the dad.
So 7. So
yes.
5 of them had to have been handmaids and butlers and that kind of thing.
So if we're going off of the conspiracy theory of the fact that Anastasia was still alive,
right,
or any of the Romanov children or the Romanov father and mother themselves, then there is that slight possibility just because, well, there had to be handmaids in there too, because there were 11 people found.
Right.
So what's the likelihood that one of those handmaids or one of those servants or whatever it was that was in the grave with them didn't also have a child that was somewhere around the same age?
I know it's possible.
Right. So basically the new conspiracy theory tonight is that Anastasia did it to get back for the death of Rasputin.
Either that or Anastasia's actually like Charles Manson's great grandmother. She went out and told him all these things like, hey, okay, so Rasputin was here at this time. When you come back as Rasputin, you got to tell him this. Okay.
Well, and you know that would explain where he got the inside information if he was Rasputin.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Well, see, the thing about that, too, though, is that Rasputin had children. Before he came and lived with the Romanovs and lived in the palace and everything else, well, back in Siberia, he had a wife and, 4 kids. His daughter, Maria, I believe her name was Maria, is actually, it was either Mary or Maria, is actually pretty famous herself because she wrote 3 or 4 books on Rasputin and on her relationship with her father. And then she also traveled all over the world and was part of a circus act and did fortune telling and different stuff like that too, claiming that she had the same powers that her father had.
So what are the possibilities that Charles Manson is a descendant of them?
See, and that's what I'm wondering is if somewhere down the line, I mean, there's illegitimate children all over the place, right? So who's to say that his father or his grandfather or him himself wasn't a descendant of the actual Rasputin line? Mm-hmm. He did look an awful lot like him. He did. But, I mean, anybody who decides to grow their hair that long and have a beard that big and have it, you're only seeing their eyes. So if their eyes look similar, then they're going to look alike.
Yeah, that's more of a look that anyone can reproduce.
Right.
So, and you'd have to see both of them absolutely clean shaven, everything.
Yeah, in order to get the jawlines, in order to actually see what they looked. Right. And I mean, there's a lot of weird things about this whole assassination and everything else, and the fact that they went so overkill.
That's pure hatred.
You know?
Hey, well, it's like this. I mean, anybody who thinks that the Beatles wrote the White Album just for him and Helter Skelter and all that other stuff is,
Right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to take a dose of that. And, Manson was a disturbed individual. There's a lot of disturbed individuals out there. And, what they think and what they believe, it can be anything beyond. He was just evil. He had the ability to control people. Hitler had the same thing. All of the people that are, they worked at different things to control people. It's just like today in our government. Social conditioning, and if you're conditioned and if you have the ability to be conditioned, what can happen to you? Look at our world today. People don't know history, people don't know all this stuff, and it's just a shame. It gets to the point where you want to go,
Now, okay, so the thing that gets me is with poisoning, okay, so the initial, cyanide-laced food and everything else, well, if he actually had eaten to the point where he almost exploded, he could have puked some of that back out, and that could be one of the reasons that it didn't affect him.
He neutralized it.
And you can also build up an immunity to certain poisonings through taking a little bit of them until you build up a bigger immunity to them.
That is more likely to me than the puking it back out, because the puking it back out, I don't believe would work with cyanide.
It would still be in your system.
Right.
Enough of it to kill you.
So it doesn't really hit me as one of those he didn't get poisoned enough, so that actually makes sense to me. Where somebody could get poisoned, but only to the point where it gave them an upset stomach versus death.
Right.
And you thought you'd given this amount, but you'd actually given that amount. Okay, so the poisoning thing I can understand living through. I can even understand living through the first shot. Okay, because there's been plenty of cases where somebody's lived through a gunshot wound that they should not have.
Right.
But after being shot 3 more times, beaten, and stabbed with bayonets, tied up and thrown in a frozen river, and you finally die of drowning?
On top of a frozen river? Yeah.
Like, that's a little nuts to me that it took so much to actually kill him. So what do you think? Do you think that he might have actually
50 Cent was shot 9 times. In the hand, arm, hip, both legs, chest, and left cheek.
Yep.
So what, we just got like some superhuman people out there that are like, that didn't hurt me?
The guy on 22 Mile last night got shot 9 times and he still kept shooting.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, well, no,
okay,
but like...
that's a movie.
Yeah, but like 50 Cent actually was shot 9 times.
Yes, he was.
And you think about that left cheek, that's the head. He got shot in the head and survived. And can still sing.
So it depends on, honestly, it depends on the velocity. There's a lot of factors. It depends on the size of the weapon. It depends on the angle of the bullet. There's a lot of factors.
Well, and what year was that, though?
This was in 1916.
1916 was Rasputin's death. Yeah.
1916, Russian weapon.
Russian weapons, they've always been awesome, but...
Not that awesome.
Not that awesome, no, I agree.
And at that point, they were probably shooting 22s at him or something.
Well, you know what? I mean,
does anybody know when, like, the first sets of bulletproof vests and stuff came out? Like, do you think it could have been a technology? Like, he put on some diamond plating, or he put on something?
1824 when Clint Eastwood was wearing that one.
You're gonna go to Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when the first bulletproofing came out. Are you, Barry?
I'm not sure. I'm not too sure about that either. You know, I kind of just look at it that, you know, the worst thing you could get, for me personally, and what I know about weapons, is the worst gun you could kill somebody with would be a 22, because the bullet goes everywhere through your body. You can get hit.
It tumbles.
1869.
Yeah, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, if they had shot him with a 22, he'd have been deader than a doornail, because it would have ripped all the way through his body and gone everywhere else, you know.
Absolutely, the 22 will tumble. You know, I laugh because that came up in the concrete group here a while back, like a year ago now. But they're laughing because this guy says 22 can't kill nobody. Like, really? What world do you live in?
Yeah,
exactly. The 22 shell tumbles. It'll hit a bone and
bounce off. And I mean,
ricochet.
you can get hit in you can get hit in the leg and it will go through your heart. I mean, that's
the thing about tumbling bullets. Same thing with the M16 with the Army weapons. They're made to spiral. They have a spiraling barrel.
Yep.
You know, and so when it hits, it'll hit a bone, it'll hit you in the leg, and it'll come out your eye. You know, they tumble.
Well, see, but that's what I'm thinking is, okay, so if somebody was that high up in a government and they knew they had that many haters, most likely they'd probably be wearing some form of protection that most people had never even heard of or seen before, because they have enough money to do this.
Probably, and they're always using research and technology even back then.
Right. I don't get the headshot, but it is possible to live through a headshot. So if all the other ones were to hit like some form of bulletproof vesting or like some Kevlar type stuff, and the other one he just happened to live through.
The first commercial bulletproof vest was 1893.
Yeah, and it's silk.
Silk?
Yeah. You know, it's funny because when you talk about weaponry like that, and you look at the distance. I mean, if they're using like a pumpkin ball and they shoot it at over 100 yards, it can hit the skull and not penetrate the skull or go into the brain at all. You know, it's gonna go ow.
Right.
You know, and so it's all different. Now, if it was a point blank range, it's a different story. You know, depending on what they have. And you know what?
It depends on the range you're shooting from.
The first test was at point blank range.
for the
The first test of the first bulletproof vest was at point blank range.
With silk?
Right.
Oh, jeez. I would hate to be the test
It weighed
dummy for that.
half a pound per square foot.
Wow.
Oh, you'd have to be strong.
So who did they get
That's
to
only
wear
5
that thing?
pounds.
Oh, that's only 5 pounds. I'm sorry. Yeah, who did they get for the dummy?
He did it himself. The guy who made it, Zanglin. Zaglin.
Was he Russian?
He's a Polish engineer.
Polish engineer. Okay.
Polish.
Oh.
Yeah, basically. Okay. All right.
Yeah. That's
So,
got a lot of
even
bad.
today, the ones we use in Iraq are made of porcelain.
Well,
And I'm sorry, when I picture this, I'm thinking of
like a porcelain doll.
porcelain plate. I'm going to drop it. So,
Right.
it's really not going to work too well. I hope I don't get shot. And
Yeah.
good thing I didn't get shot because, we went for our second tour and our supply sergeant came and said, I'm I'm not embarrassed, but the Army should be, but I have to take all of your plates back because they were defaulted. They were defunct. They would have let the bullet go through. So
Right.
they made some new ones. So everyone, give me your plates back so I can give you the new updated ones. And hopefully they're bulletproof. But no.
Yeah.
But
Well,
porcelain.
the other thing that I look at is this was 1916.
Right.
People had some serious superstition around this guy already because he claimed to be this amazing, basically larger than life magician that could do anything.
Right.
So I'm almost wondering too how much of this from the time that he had gotten shot the 3 times and had been beaten and stuff was just your body's reflex movements after death. See, now I know that they say
The
that he
flinching?
said, like your body
Yeah.
twitching or your eyes opening and like. So I know that they said that he had said a curse right before he was drowned into a river.
Right.
But anybody around there could have made up anything based off of the superstition of the guy himself.
True. And Rasputin was, back in that time, spiritualism was one of the top things that was going on, and he was a master of that. And he convinced a lot of people in a lot of different ways. But what I think actually happened is that they actually finally just said that it was due to a shot to the stomach, and it was massive blood loss. And if you get hit in the stomach, that is probably one of the worst and most painful places to get hit. But it takes longer to die because you bleed out at a very slow.
And the amount of organs that are that can be.
Right, so you
got your
would die
liver.
of drowning, technically,
Right.
before you would
Right.
have actually died of the shot that would have killed you if they'd have let you just live out the death.
Yeah.
Right. So
It sounds to me if he got shot in the stomach as well as the head, he was going to die anyway. They just they just
This is gonna
ensured
take
his
time.
death by throwing him in the frozen river.
right,
It's
exactly.
just, well, back in the day, too, they were like, oh my god, this guy didn't die yet. He didn't
Right.
die yet. And that's what I'm saying. It could have been a lot of reflex movements, and it could have been the fact that he was just slowly bleeding to death, and he wasn't fully dead
Now,
yet.
if you hit in a major artery like the femoral artery, you will bleed out. And I believe it's 3 minutes because that is a major pump. So yeah, you're gonna die a slower death with an abdominal shot. Because you've got the liver there, you've got the stomach, you've got the spleen, you've got the kidneys in the backside. You know,
you're going to die from it. I mean, without a doubt, it's going to kill you. But it's the time you're going to have to be. I mean, you're going to suffer majorly before you do.
Well, also, I mean, I know I've heard a lot of cases of people who were dead before they were actually pronounced dead just because of the fact that they had so much adrenaline running through them that they were still up and running around and, oh my God, checking on stuff, and then they'd just collapse and be dead. Well, technically, the impact of the crash or whatever it was, it killed them. It's just the adrenaline pumping through their system had kept them up and going for X amount of time.
Right.
Well, have you ever beheaded a chicken?
Yes.
Did you ever watch a chicken run around? I mean, they were running around,
Right.
and blood squirting everywhere. and it's just going to run like crazy because it's
all reflex.
Still, yeah, it's still there. I mean, and also you got to remember the body is going. Your heart's not going to stop. It's still going to pump, until the blood pressure comes down to 0, or to a certain point, and at that point, then you're going to cease to have any function at all. It's just that. I mean, that's like the thing when they used to chop people's heads off, with a guillotine. They would hold the head up, and the head would make faces. That was one of the things that they did all the time, because you still have brain function and all that other stuff. You're going to be like twitching and making weird stuff.
See, so for me, I think that honestly, Rasputin, it was more of the story superseded the actual man.
That fed the thoughts. That fed the energy into it, really.
Everybody thought he was superhuman, so he had to be superhuman.
Right.
Sure, exactly. And the other thing about Rasputin is that, for many years, he knew his life was threatened. The poisoning thing that you gave makes totally sense to me. He could have fed himself small doses of poison and almost became immune to it. It would have taken a massive amount of poison to do it. And poison was one of the favorite way of getting rid of somebody. That would be the first way back then. I mean, everybody was like, "Oh, well, poison them."
And the most common poison to use in that time, so that'd be the poison you would go to achieve an immunity to it. So
right, exactly, exactly.
Well, and I mean, not only that, but there's so many things that go into the poisoning of him too.
Right.
So, if let's say the cook had poured the wrong bottle into the food,
right,
or anything like that, then you'd also have. You have no idea if there's actual poison in the food or not to begin with.
No, and like as you said, poison is notoriously unreliable in itself. And you have to have the right dosage. So just real quick, S-4 does not condone the usage of poison to kill somebody.
Yeah,
but and I'm not telling you how to do it, but no, you do have to have the right dosage. You have to know basically the weight of the person.
I just told her to quit trying. Are you going to give her all the answers?
Yeah. But
you're so gone.
No, I think that we're talking the 1890s to the 1900s, 1910 era. You got to.
You got to take the unreliable factor in there, too.
No, but the most common types of assassination still would have been gunshot, and it's still, I think poisoning back then would have been the more common assassination attempt versus today. Today they just shoot people. That's
well, see, and the thing that I often wonder about, too, was, is it actually a possibility? Because back then we didn't have DNA testing. We didn't have any of this stuff either.
No.
So, would it have been a possibility that maybe the cyanide and the point-blank shot actually did kill him, but it killed one of his imposters? Because if he was being somebody that had been attempted assassination after attempted assassination, you're going to have people that look like you running around just in case.
So we know Saddam Hussein, for example, had 23 different lookalikes. Did they have lookalikes back then?
Right.
That'd be the other question.
If they did, well, then both of these first 3 measures could have killed him, but it could have killed one of his lookalikes, and he could have got up right next to it and been like, "Hey, I'm still alive!" Which just feeds into the he's a magical magician, and musician. Right. Jesus.
Well, if he was all that good, he would have already known that they were going to try to kill him, and he would have not been there.
This is true, especially if he was a true fortune teller.
Right,
if he would have just not gone to dinner that night.
Yeah, I'd have said. I don't think I want to go to that dinner.
Yeah, but it is Russia, and it was in 1916, and it was free food.
It's food.
Yeah.
Food, yeah.
So, I don't know, I might have gone too. I'd have been like, sure, why not?
Right.
I'm going to die of this, or I'm going to die of something else. So
give me an extra helping of cyanide. There you go.
Yeah. I think, the way that I think it happened I'm not too sure. I think it was like a 7-course poison meal he ate.
Yeah, it was a massive meal. I mean, everything from first course to desserts to wine afterwards to
exactly. The all the way to the dessert and then the dessert wine and up the whole 9 yards. It was like it's just crazily insane. But everything was supposed to be poisoned. So
yeah.
I don't know if he had an inside guy that was going, nope, we're not doing that. We'll feed him this. I don't know.
So we've talked about all the types that they've used and got into the details of them. What do you think about the whole Manson side of it? Do you think Manson could have been the reincarnation?
I think that there is a reincarnation of evil all the time. There's been people that said that, Hitler has been reincarnated, all that kind of stuff. We look at look at Nostradamus' predictions and look at all this stuff.
Right.
There are a lot of things to consider. I personally, from what I studied and researched on Manson, I would say no. Just from, I chased him back, even, one of the most haunted places in the area of West Virginia where I grew up was Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, and they had a heavy area, and he was actually put in there for a little while in their criminal insane area, and then shipped back out again. Mm-hmm. And I just don't, I just think, look, evil is evil, and you can become, a lot of these, if we know of what we know about spirits, possession, and everything else, there are opportunities that maybe if you look into some of this psych wards and everything else, that you may be dealing with people that are actually been possessed or could be totally possessed at the time. I mean,
right.
It sounds like a fairy tale, even Amityville Horror, all the stuff that was going through. And Amityville's probably a bad thing to mention, but looking at all that and some of the things that have happened, I would say that, there's an opportunity to be sucked in by some evil force. But I don't think that, personally, I would hope that there's no one reincarnating that kind of person.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, but I think I have to agree with Izzy on this one, where I believe that Manson probably did think himself to be the reincarnated version of. I don't think he actually was, but I think that Manson had enough intelligence in himself. He was a pretty intelligent person, whether or not he was psychotic or not.
If he
was
that
pretty intelligent.
If he was that into Rasputin,
he would have studied.
He would have studied, and he would have gotten all the inside information.
Exactly, and that's
right.
The thing
Exactly.
Is that if he thought he was, he would have gone into the depths of all of the knowledge you could find out about him.
Absolutely, and then he's got his followers to do his bidding, because look who I am.
Exactly.
He played right into Rasputin's role as a master manipulator.
And as soon as he figured out that there was this curse that was laid, that he was coming back, well, then it just made his agenda even better. Well, if I claim to be this person, I'm not only getting my followers, I'm getting his followers, and all the people that would follow that.
It strengthened his dictatorship, really.
Right.
As a master manipulator.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I mean, and it's been happened. It's, as we look at what we consider to be in history the Antichrist, and most people call Hitler an Antichrist, all the stuff that he did. But Manson, I don't know. I still can't, if you're a manipulator and you can use people and you can get them to follow you, it's amazing what people will do that are downhearted and need to believe in something. And
we're all sitting here laughing because if you're listening, you just have to go to the website chat room and see Cole's meme they just posted about Manson.
I love this new chat room we got on the website. It is perfect.
So if you're listening and you don't know where the chat room is, we do have the two chat rooms. We have the one speaker that I'm monitoring, then Cole and Izzy both monitor the website. It's www.s-4radio.com. And just scroll down, you'll find our live active chat room. It's always active anyway. But during the show, that's the one we monitor. And we throw memes up there, and yeah, it's a good time during the show. So we're coming close to the top of the hour for our first break. So to wrap up Rasputin,
what you want to know?
Looking at the era, like we've been doing, imagine that happening today. Mm-hmm. With the technology we've got, with the weapon we've got, just imagine that happening today. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't be poisoned. The mysticism aspect of it was much greater and had a lot more power, I guess, back then. Because they didn't know what we know today.
Right. Not only that, but he had the money and the power on his side. So if you have pretty much an unbelievable amount of money where you could go out and you could buy anything you wanted to.
Right.
And then you also had an unbelievable amount of followers and everything else because you're this amazing person that they don't understand how you're doing these things. Well, you would also have access to all of the top-of-the-line technology of the time.
Right.
So a lot of, back in then days, you'd call them like peasants or serfs, wouldn't have any idea that this technology necessarily even existed.
Imagine him today owning DARPA.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it is said that Rasputin also had ties with Germany and with a lot of different countries and their hierarchies. So you're getting information from everywhere. You're getting technology from everywhere. I think this was more of he had a way of making people follow him and seeing him as something bigger than he actually was.
Well, if you got and if he had a gift, which is, there are several people that have gifts that can see, do everything else. But back in those days, the royals, if you would, paid for that information highly. I mean, even going back to Nostradamus and everything else, and he got his money from doing that. And there are certain things that, yes, he may have been pathetic a prophet at times, and did predict certain things, which instituted that they wanted to have him around. But then when he becomes so powerful, I'm sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off, so excuse me, guys, I'll turn it off now. But that's all the kind of stuff that happens. I mean, that is very, very possible. But he gained his own power and his own following, and that's when it makes him dangerous, and that's when they say, okay, he's gotten a little bit too big for his britches, so we need to get rid of him,
And that happens today, but today they just disappear.
Well, and they also say that he was a pretty learned person. So back in those days, a lot of people couldn't even read or anything.
No.
So if you had the ability to read and you could pull
from
things like Notre Dame and these other things and put it off as yours, nobody's going to know that it wasn't yours.
Right. And you got to remember, today you're going to get brain cancer, or you're going to have a heart attack, or else... Yeah.
Right.
And it's going to be induced by a quick injection, or maybe even EMF, or low frequency, because I don't want to even mention her name, but you know who I'm thinking about. That family who's killed hundreds of people.
If it's someone that is going to be too obvious, if they just kill them, they will ruin their reputation.
Either they will ruin their reputation, or it'll be something that happened so accidentally and out of the blue that it's like, so mysteriously your plane crashed, this guy got in this accident, and your brother died over here of a heart attack all in the same week. But it's okay because it happens.
Right.
I mean, look at how many people are scientists that just all of a sudden just bite the bullet. There's a lot of different things that are out there that happen. So,
or just disappear off the face of the earth.
Face of the earth, right?
Mm-hmm. And they get put down as another one of those missing 411 cases because they just straight up disappeared.
And that's an interesting point too, because some of the cases that Paulides has investigated were scientists. They were doctors. They were highly educated, high IQ people. That's a whole other side of the pattern. They don't disappear as much as the general patterns do, but there are those cases, and it makes you wonder if they're not just working in some underground lab somewhere, and the government. And
poof, they were gone. What happened?
Right, exactly. I have a story we'll have to tell one time. My cousin and I were out hunting, and we got lost in the woods and found by somebody. And I remember going by a house that was deep in the woods. And I was like going, guarded the whole night. Yeah, I had candy the whole 9 yards. The gingerbread house. And let me tell you something. I knew right away. I says, "Oh, we're lucky we better not look over that way too much."
Nope.
So I mean, there are places that are out in the woods that there are people that are just never seen again, but are working and kept in the other places that we'll never know about. So, too many secrets.
Absolutely.
And with that, guys, we're going to go to our first hour break. So, awesome first hour. Mm-hmm. We're going to continue on with this with the Royal Assassinations with Barry Gaunt after this break. So here is Poltergeist by Cryptamnesia.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, 'cause I'm running here tonight. Just burn me like a witch and watch as I catch fire. But I cannot die, I am your poltergeist. Souls that are haunting poltergeist. Oh, you're caving in, the loss of sleep keeps you obsessing on your pride, but in the end you let me in. They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, cause I'm rotted here tonight. Just burning like a witch, it watches I catch fire, but I cannot die. I am your motherfucker. They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, cause I brought it here tonight. Just burn me like a witch, and watch it I catch fire, but I cannot die. I am your poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Oh, poltergeist, poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Welcome back to S4 right here from the, well, I'm looking out the window, sunny headquarters here in the Cascade Mountains in Cape Horn in Concrete, Washington. So tonight we are talking Royal Assassinations. We do jump into conspiracies every once in a real while. It's just fun. And it's
awesome.
interesting because the Homeland Security news wire that I read every day talks a lot about conspiracies and how dangerous they are. Well, they can be dangerous, depending on what the conspiracy is and how much people want to act on them.
I've always thought a conspiracy in itself isn't dangerous, but if you put the conspiracy in the wrong person's hands,
absolutely,
and it changes too many people's opinions of something, then it's dangerous.
It is. And just like all the conspiracies floating around about where COVID came from and whatnot, you know what? The bottom line is people die, and the bottom line is protect yourself. Conspiracy or not.
Mm-hmm. True. Wherever it's coming from or whatever it is, that's the bottom line.
Let's handle it now and then worry about where it came from later.
You know what? We never find out. I mean, look at all the stuff that has been hidden from us. Golly, 100 years of government weirdness shows you that there's been more kind of conspiracies and things out there, from giving people syphilis to LSD and St. Louis
and AIDS.
Yeah, I mean, then you got 911 and you got all the other stuff, and you just it becomes a thing like, well, okay, you might want to be, conspiracy theorists are maybe the same people in the bunch because they do so much research. Some of the research that they do.
You know what's sad though? It's even the media that feeds into some of the conspiracies out there, and that's where like we were talking. We were talking before the show. Where do you get your news from? I don't get my news from CNN, NBC, Fox. I get Homeland Security news every day in my email.
Yeah.
And now, granted, some of those sources are Huffington Press or they are CNN, but if it comes straight from a government agency, those are the ones I kind of look at with a bigger magnifying glass.
To be perfectly honest, the way that I look at it right now is I don't trust anything that comes out of pretty much anybody's mouth. Mm-hmm. Because nobody knows what's really going on. And you can speculate about it as much as you want to, but you're never going to get the answer.
No. Well, look how long it took 9/11 to come out. It's in my Homeland Security textbooks that, yes, it was an inside job because, even the intelligence agencies that told Bush that it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And they were fired or they were hushed up or whatever. Well, but it takes 20 20 plus years for the truth to come out.
Not only that, but
but you know
my
what?
biggest concern is the fact that if we continuously sit here and erase our history, we're never going to be able to learn from it.
You'll never not repeat it.
Exactly.
You know. Anyway, moving on to Princess Di.
Anna.
You
Princess Diana.
Diana.
So, before we start this, I am going to say that
the opinions?
all the opinions that we take here are our own individual ones, not a direct relation to S4, and all information presented to you can be found on the internet.
Various sources.
We're not, and I want to say we're not doing this to insult anyone whatsoever. S4 is not about insulting anybody's memory either.
And I want to inject too, because in the last 4 years, I can say 4 years now, because next week will be 4. We've always told our listeners, you can take what S4 says and do your own research. Prove us wrong. Or prove us, we only present to you, 1, the experiences we've had, and 2, the research we do. Anybody can do the same research.
Absolutely.
Or more. So that's where we come to you from.
So we're going to start straight off with what the actual incident was. And so on the night of early morning of August 31st, 1997, Princess Diana, as well as her then boyfriend, Desi, how the heck do I say his name? Fayette? Dodi Fayette. And her bodyguard were in a car accident in a tunnel in Paris. Now, the tunnel that they were in is actually quite famous. It is very hard to navigate for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of different. So in the year 2000, there was a British inquest done. The inquest was not finished until 2008.
Mm-hmm.
It was an 8-year inquest based on 175 different conspiracy theories having to do with her death.
175 conspiracies?
175. And they didn't touch half of them. It was called Operation Paget. 2004 to 2008. So it was 4 years. The first findings, though, were recorded in 2006. Some of the biggest ones for me that I have issues with, number one, is the fact that on the route from the Ritz Hotel to the tunnel, not one CCTV camera saw the car.
Right.
It was not captured anywhere, including the Ritz.
Real quick, let's talk about the bodyguard for one, the driver.
Okay.
The driver himself was a professional driver.
Yes.
Yes.
He was, impeccable.
Right.
And I've heard some of the theories that, he was drunk. No, I don't think so. When you have a Royal, when you're the driver of a Royal, you're not. I'm sorry, but you're. No, I don't buy that one.
So there are a lot of theories with that include he was drunk.
You know how easy those could be doctored?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's
he was
my
also
issue.
on antidepressants according to the actual investigation.
Yeah, but if they were prescribed antidepressants for something that you actually had, how many people are on antidepressants around the world right now?
So there are 2 blood samples taken, one directly from him and one from the dash of the car. And they both presented as 3 times the legal limit of France at that point. Then they did a third test, which is called vitreous body test, or vitreous fluid test. They actually take the fluid from inside your eye, and they test that.
Okay.
And that's actually how they found the antidepressants, allegedly. Now, the indoor cameras at the Ritz did capture them heading to the car.
Okay.
Paul had a sober demeanor inside the Ritz.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all footage ended.
He had a sober demeanor?
Yes.
Yes.
But according to family and friends, he was full-blown alcoholic.
It is possible to look completely sober and to act completely sober, and in actuality, you just finished that fifth of vodka.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
And vodka has no smell. Most people who are drinking it don't even, if you're an alcoholic, I mean, and they use vodka, they'll
Vodka or
saturate.
James? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they will saturate raisins with it. You can eat raisins and get drunk off of it, because they inhale, or grapes or anything like that. So that is a possibility.
It is totally possible to be a closet alcoholic.
Yeah. Now, here's the main one with him. Yes, he was her driver. Yes, he was her bodyguard, but he did work for the royal family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are claims that he was an MI6 agent.
Mm-hmm.
He was a member of the SAS.
Mm-hmm.
And
one of the biggest trainings that they receive is how to disable a driver at night. Do you know how they do it?
Yeah, by the weird flashes which were reported.
Yes.
Later,
they use a high-powered strobe.
Strobes,
okay.
Right. And there were so many flashes that were reported by other people seeing them.
6
That's what
other
they believe.
vehicles in the tunnel reported a high flash behind them, which is where the car was.
Well,
Right.
Can I ask, though? Okay, so I know that a lot of people say that it was the paparazzi. Okay, that the paparazzi were following her, that there was flashes and stuff. Well, if it was the paparazzi and they were taking enough pictures in a darkened tunnel, would that be enough of a flash to send him into that?
The paparazzi were cleared. So the main paparazzi that they were thinking of was Anderson.
Oh, that's the dude that kept following her around.
Yes, I can't find his first name now.
Yep.
He was cleared of all charges, and then said he wasn't even near there when it happened. He got there afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then his body was found in a black, burnt-out BMW in a forest in the south of France.
The paparazzi guy was?
Yeah.
Yes.
Huh. Imagine that.
Apparently, he set the car on fire and sat down in it.
Burning himself alive.
That's James Anderson.
James, yeah.
Thank you, Izzy. That sounds like mind control to me.
So, the reason that he was questioned was because there was a white Fiat Uno that did come into contact with the Mercedes that the Princess Di was in.
Mm-hmm.
They did eventually identify the driver as Lee Van Thangt, who was a 22-year-old taxi driver at the time of the accident. He owned the exact car, and he was identified by 2 other people in the tunnel as being in the same tunnel. His car, according to his father, he resprayed the white car red hours after the accident, waking up his mechanic brother to help him. They did conclude a lot of tests on the vehicle, and it's concluded the car could have been involved in the accident. Then he was ruled out by French police during the investigation because he said he was at work on the night in question. Later turned out that he had left work early that night and could have been there.
Okay, so it seems to me that there's a lot of tying up loose ends here.
Yeah.
So apparently he's still alive. So they haven't tied that one up, but he hasn't also said anything.
Well, would you if you were the reason that, like,
that's the thing.
Princess
so everyone
Diana died? Like,
He got paid well.
Everyone whose life went to hell pretty much after this event
True.
is now dead.
Yeah. They're either dead or not talked about.
Except for the queen.
One of the other biggest ones is that no one was wearing a seatbelt in the car. Anybody that remembers Princess Diana, she was a huge advocate for seatbelts.
Right.
Seatbelts.
It was a huge thing for her.
Thing. Yep.
Her friends even went as far as to call her a Nazi when it came to seatbelts.
So that one right there doesn't even make sense.
No. The biggest problem I have with this is the timing. So, the first call to emergency services was at 12:26 a.m. The ambulance carrying the princess arrived at 2:06 a.m. An exact hour and a half after the thing. So, they got the call at 2:26 or 12:26. The first officials to arrive were at 12:30. A doctor arrived at 12:40. She was removed from the car at 1.
This whole thing smells funny to begin with because you're talking royalty. They would have been there, I would think.
It's not their royalty.
That is true.
Oh, well.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
But at 12:32, the sergeants were there. That's the fire service. So it took them 28 minutes to remove her from the car.
Yeah, but if you think about it, okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Right.
And if you think about it, with how high up she was, they would need to do a thorough investigation of the scene and take pictures while she was still in the car. If she was already deceased at that point,
Absolutely.
they would need to take the pictures, they would need to do the investigation and everything with all the proper angles and with the way she was in the car.
But the thing is, I think you're talking about the response time more than
with how
anything.
Kayla, with how hurt they were, they wouldn't do that. Even with how hurt I was, they didn't do that.
That's true. There was actually
They
really
removed
pretty
me
damn quick
as fast as they could.
response time.
Right. Now, was she still alive at the scene?
Yes.
Then
Yes,
they should have.
yes, she was still alive.
Oh, okay. That's where I was screwed up. I'm sorry.
And
So Izzy is saying the car was mostly undamaged on her side of the car, and they said she was conscious when the ambulance arrived, but it still took 81 minutes to get her out of the tunnel.
Yeah, well, like, that's the stupid part. Is that, so she was removed from the car at 1 a.m. She went into cardiac arrest. They did resuscitation. Her heart started beating again. And then she was moved to the ambulance at 1:18.
No,
Wouldn't that tell you that she was under for 15 minutes at least then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friend?
Okay, so as far as
she was moved to the ambulance 1:18. It departed the crash scene at 1:41.
No, they would have been resuscitating on the roll.
Okay, so
Right, exactly.
they arrived at the hospital at 2:06. Journey time of approximately 26 minutes. This included a stop at the Gare d'Artlitz.
And he says, and then the ambulance went at a relatively casual pace and passed 4 hospitals.
So, apparently the doctor ordered them to stop because of a drop in blood pressure and the necessity to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, they had to travel slowly because of her blood pressure and the effects on her medical condition of deacceleration and acceleration.
I don't buy that one.
Okay, all right.
No. It doesn't work that way. Okay, elevation in a helicopter, if you're an aerovac medic, yes, sure. In an ambulance, no, it doesn't work that way.
How many anesthesiologists do you know that work in an ambulance too?
You don't. Anesthesiologists work in a hospital.
Well, this doctor was a specialist, an anesthesiologist in intensive care treatment.
Yeah, no.
Okay, but at the same point, if this is a royal, okay?
No, Kayla, you got to understand, when an accident happens, they have no idea it was Princess Di.
They're not going to send and even then, they're not going to send an anesthesiologist for a trauma.
Yeah.
Anesthesiologist
exactly.
stays in for a surgical ward. That's where the anesthesiologists are used.
Now, here's the thing.
Do we know, though, and I mean no offense, but I don't know anything about how France does their emergency response. So do we know...
Obviously not that well.
No, but do we know what their actual response time is at that point in France in general?
Half of that.
Okay.
At least.
Okay.
So the first two guys, that is quick response. It was the ambulance and the fire service that were very slow to respond. Okay.
And real quick, absolutely, J. Ron, not pre-planned at all, was it?
No, not at all.
Her main butler, Paul Burrell.
Oh yeah.
Now you're hitting a whole different subject, because that was you're talking about the letter, right?
Yes,
and
the
all
day
that other
before.
stuff. Oh yeah.
He was given a letter for safe keeping.
Mm-hmm.
In the letter it stated, "I am sitting here at my desk today in October, longing for someone to hug me and encourage me to keep strong and hold my head high. This particular phase in my life is the most dangerous. Blank is planning an accident in my car, brake failure, and serious head injury in order to make the path clear for Charles to marry."
And that was my first question for you. That was my first question for you. What would be the motivation? And there you go.
Okay, so the whole deal with that is when they divorced, Charles was, what's the word I'm looking for?
Outcast.
Not outcast, disgraced.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
There we go.
Him divorcing Diana made it so that he cannot become king. He was supposed to be king before that.
Okay.
But it disgraced him.
It disgraced him. It goes down to William then.
True.
Being disgraced, the only way for him to come back from that is to marry again and create more royalty. Which he did half of that. He is married again.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. He's too freaking old. He'll never make another kid. But
yeah,
you might be surprised.
I don't think so. I think that family is so well knit into one person's plan that it's never a possibility again for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been made so he can't.
right. And you know, if you look at the technology we have today and everything else, there could be eggs given. There could have been all kinds of different things. If that was part of the so-called conspiracy, that would have already been handled. You know, and
the biggest part of it is the fact that he was considered the number one suspect for any conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
That he made all this happen. So that in itself is just continuing with the disgrace.
Yeah, he was a scapegoat.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, her boyfriend at the time, his dad is an Egyptian, not royalty, but he's an Egyptian billionaire.
Yeah.
Diana's boyfriend?
Yes.
Right.
Dodi
Fod. Yeah.
His dad's really famous, actually, and in January 2004. They did a post-mortem examination of the princess's body because Al-Fayed had claimed that she was pregnant at the time of the accident.
Huh.
Yeah, which was proven wrong.
Yes, it was proven wrong. They also said that he was planning on proposing, and they were announcing their marriage the Monday after the accident.
So that would be valid information just because, well, he's an outsider, really. And what would proving her pregnancy do?
Well, proving her pregnancy and also proving that they were planning on announcing marriage in itself. She, even though her and Charles had divorced, she is still considered royalty at that point.
Yes, true. And, the bad thing about it is when you look at royalty, and I'm sorry that this is going to come out, and I don't mean it in any bad way, but, you surely don't want an Egyptian Muslim sitting on the throne, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's like going, ooh, that may be a problem.
That's the thing.
So would that have put...
I will say he would never sit on the throne. It'd be the same as Prince Philip.
Right. But he would still be considered
But he would
royalty.
still go down in the history books as being part of the royal family.
Family.
It'd be tainted blood in their eyes.
Oh,
yes, exactly. Blue bloods don't like that.
Right.
It was considered a huge, big thing that she actually considered marrying a non-Christian across Britain.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of put a damper on all of the things that she did do in her life. Like, one of the things was, I can't remember what country it is now, but she made it safe for children to walk to school.
That's the one
Croatia.
where she walked through
Croatia.
the land.
Yeah. She
right.
She was a big advocate against demining Croatia.
Yes, and they also helped in making the use of those type of mines illegal.
Pressure mines.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. She was a massive humanitarian,
She's pissed now because they just replaced it with something that works better.
Yeah.
Like frick.
So,
the part with Paul, though, there is a thing where... Oh, thank you, J-Ron. So it's Dodi Fayed. That's how you say it. I suck at pronouncing things.
I think his dad's name was Mohammed Fayed.
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole SAS being behind her death. So during the court-martial of SAS sniper Danny Nightingale led to a letter written by a witness, Soldier N. That is the only name he is known by.
Mm-hmm.
And this letter was sent to his in-laws. They were roommates in prison for illegally hiding firearms and ammunition. On the 17th of August 2013, the Metropolitan Police announced they were reviewing evidence that Soldier N had boasted that the SAS was behind the death of Princess Diana. Soldier N, in a letter, had told his wife the unit arranged Diane's death and it was covered up. The information was reportedly passed on to Scotland Yard by the Royal Military Police.
Nothing happened.
Well, Scotland Yard just stressed that the information would not lead to a reinvestigation, that they were examining its relevance and credibility. They confirmed that Prince Charles and Mohammed Al-Fayed were being kept informed.
Interesting.
Why would you inform the guy that apparently is doing it? because the royal family they're in charge of the SAS and the Royal Military Police.
Oh, absolutely.
Friend, so
Hoops, baby, hoops. You gotta jump through them, right?
Plausible deniability.
Like there is it has even gone to the point where, okay, so there is a documentary film that came out about the death of Diana and Dodi called Unlawful Killing.
Yep.
It was featured at the 2011 Cannes Film Festival. It was funded by Mohammed Al Fayed. It was not shown in British cinemas. Lawyers for the producers, they suggested that 87 cuts needed to be made before it could be certified for release in Britain. They couldn't gain the insurance against the possible legal action that could happen, including distribution in the United States. So the film was actually shelved in 2012 and has not been shown since.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked this afternoon, and I have a lot of places you can find movies.
But you can't find that one. Yeah, you won't find that one anyway.
Well, no, they don't want the truth to be discovered. Of course,
yeah.
No.
Like, there is a lot of different theories out there about this. So many things that they did that were just wrong, like embalming the body. They embalmed the body before the autopsy.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously?
Because Prince Charles was coming to view the body the next morning. Like that morning, he was going to come view the body.
So
and
they
the body
needed it to
was
look
not,
right.
and Princess Di was not in a state to be viewed by royalty. Therefore, they embalmed her and made her
She
ready.
was undamaged.
Apparently not. And that one, I don't know. We can't. But that's the thing. Okay, so some people say she was undamaged. Some of the doctors that saw her say she wasn't completely. There was problems. And they needed to fix them, apparently, before they could show them to Prince Charles. So they did all that before they were able to do the autopsy.
Timelines on this one are a little awkward.
So much for an autopsy to prove, dereliction
or
anything.
Yeah.
What is an embalming?
You're replacing all the blood.
You're replacing all the fluids.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. You replace everything.
Apparently she had no alcohol in her blood. And she wasn't pregnant. How do you do that test?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can test all the blood you want in the car. Yeah, the guys weren't pregnant, definitely.
Right.
Well, I think that a lot of the people that were close to Diana, that were her friends, knew that she was on some kind of contraception and all that stuff, and knew that everything was 100% right with her as far as not being pregnant, which was one of the conspiracy things, but I think that proves out to be true. And then, as you say, if you take all of her blood out and immediately put her through that kind of embalming, what do you have? You have nothing but embalming fluid. Everything else goes down the drain.
My issue with all of her friends is they are all connected to the royal family.
Yes.
Yes, because she was only allowed to be around the royal family.
The only friend that she had that wasn't was her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, and he's dead. and he was a bodyguard, and there's a conspiracy behind his death.
The doctor.
The heart
Well, I was talking about. I think she had a former bodyguard, which she was said it was the greatest love that she ever had. I thought.
Yes.
Something about I don't know what his name was.
I am trying to remember.
I think the other thing I know he had the same name as I do. I mean, his name was Barry, but I don't know his last name. I remember that, but I don't remember very much more about it. I think he died in a weird motorcycle accident. Somehow as a passenger.
The boyfriend, the heart doctor?
The former bodyguard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't find his name in here. The one I'm talking about is Hasnat Khan. He's a Muslim heart surgeon from Pakistan.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were in a relationship for 2 years to the point where she actually considered marriage and running away to Pakistan.
Yes, she met his family and everything. Like, it was a... They actually did a movie about that.
Is it released?
It's actually called Diana, and yes, it was. I can't remember what it's available on. I think it's on Amazon Prime, but it is available in Britain as well. And it does kind of portray the Queen and Charles in a demeaning manner.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but
there's no denying what they were doing at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same
she was going 4 weeks without seeing her kids.
Yeah.
At a time. Because they were busy doing royalty stuff and she wasn't allowed to see them.
At the same point, it portrays Diana in a horrible way as well. It really does. Like, the entire movie, so I sat down and I watched that. It was a couple of weeks ago, actually, that I watched that movie. And it portrayed Diana in a almost stalker-esque way.
That's why it was released.
And it also portrayed her in a very, I need to have a man, and I don't care who, but I need one type of way. And even the heart surgeon said after her death, and they'd done interviews with him, when they were releasing the movie, he said, this was not how our relationship was. This is, I don't even want to watch the movie based on the trailer that I saw for it.
Right.
This is all bullshit, basically.
Well, of course, anything, if they're behind, and obviously they were, behind her murder, then, of course, if it demeans her, by all means release it, but don't release the truth.
Right, and you see, and the other part that I saw in this, too, was, yes, it did state that she had gone 4 weeks without seeing her kids, and then she had tried to get a hold of the Queen to see her kids, like, in the movie. Mm-hmm. But it also portrayed the fact that she didn't really push to see them, that she didn't really... So I don't think it really portrayed them in as bad of a way as some people might have taken it. Right. I think it was more of a, well, she never said she wanted to. She never came. She was too busy with her love life to care about her children and her family and her, So it kind of, to me, it was just a way of making her fall off of a pedestal,
right,
and make her look like she wasn't half of what she actually was.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Henry Paul idea, Richard Tomlinson, who was an MI6 agent and was discredited shortly after,
imagine that,
weird,
and fired from MI6. He was full out court-martialed by them. The equivalent of court-martialed, I guess. He claims Henry Paul was the driver of the car. He was also the security manager at the Ritz Hotel, and he was an MI6 informant. I saw his file. It's been well established that he went missing for 2 to 3 hours the night of his death. He made $35,000 a year as a security manager and driver and bodyguard. He had nearly $250,000 in his bank account at the time of his death, with an addition to a significant amount of cash with him when he died.
Payoff?
Well, Tomlinson told a French judge in 1998, I am certain that this money originated from MI6. This is speculation on my part, but if he was an MI6 informant, it would be quite normal for him to receive cash.
Right.
Huh. It sounds like to me that you could spend your entire life trying to go down this rabbit hole and figure out what really happened, and I don't think you ever would.
Well, I think bottom line, you know who to point the finger at.
Yes and no. I mean, there's a lot of people within the hierarchy, not saying the hierarchy herself, but within that, they would do things to promote something that she wouldn't even necessarily be part of either. That's gone on for thousands of years.
True. You know, there's always been a disgrace factor, or when someone's trying to add something to it to emphasize a point, or, you know, it's just like what we were talking earlier. I mean, and I hate to keep on bringing up social conditioning and everything else. I mean, we can make people think certain things about certain people just by the news reporting it, by other things happening, and it comes out, and it can be all false, but half of the people in the world are going to just go, wow, that's the truth, because so-and-so said it, you know.
Well, and I mean, very rarely do people fact check anything. They go off of blind faith that the person that is telling them this, that's absolutely true, because this person wouldn't lie about that.
Right.
And you go back to what you guys said earlier about S4. You know, look, anytime, and we always say this in anything we do your own research, for God's sakes. There are things that will make your mind just totally trip out, because...
That guy's name was Barry Manicky.
Oh, there you go. I knew it was Barry, but I didn't know.
She says in an NBC aired video, it was all found out. He was chucked out of royal protection, and then he was killed. I think he was bumped off.
Yeah.
That's such a polite way of saying he was murdered. Mm-hmm. He just bumped off. Right?
But I mean, okay, so everybody gives. How do I put this? Everybody gives the queen, and they say, "Oh, well, it was her fault that this happened, or because of her, this and this and this happened," right? Well, that's like people saying that it's all Putin's fault, it's all Trump's fault, it's all... Yes, they may be the figurehead for what is happening, but it takes all of these other steps to go through, too. It isn't just one person that's being accountable for all of it. You have to have a whole network of people.
The problem with that, though, is, you know, and we all know, it only takes maybe even a comment in passing. The Queen, for example, might have said, "Oh my God, Diana is such a disgrace." And somebody in that hierarchy is going to take that and go, "Oh, I guess we got to go bump her off then."
Well, see, that's what I'm saying, is that it takes this entire connection of people, and if one person believes something, how many more people in this connection can they get to believe that?
Right.
It's that blind faith thing where, well, this person said that she said, so she must have said, because they are so close to her that this is how it has to go.
And down at the very bottom, it's going to, you know, just like that game people play where you'll whisper something in someone's ear.
The telephone game.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Queen said something very, you know, random and passing.
Random and vague, and somebody took it
as
this.
Down at the very bottom, hey, the Queen said, "Kill off Diana." Okay.
Right.
You know.
And see, that's what I'm saying. So everybody can sit there and they can blame one person all they want.
I still blame the top indirectly.
But who's to say that the top of whatever hierarchy it is, whatever country it is, that it actually came from them and it wasn't misconstrued information or a thought that they had in passing that got taken and ran with? You have to hold everybody accountable.
Yep.
It's not just one person that's accountable for anything.
So let's replace the whole royal family of England. That's what I say.
Well, you know, I mean, how many monarchies do we still have?
Quite a few, actually. So we got, let's see.
But how many are as powerful and as big as
the English monarchy?
Right.
The English monarchy is definitely the most well-known.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and...
No, no.
China's
monarchy is the Ming Dynasty, yes.
I think they're more well-known than England.
Yeah.
I mean, and look at the
exact same level, I'd say.
Well, and I mean, if you look at it that way too, if you're talking about as far as a presence that everybody knows about, who doesn't know the name Kim Jong-un either?
Right.
Right.
Well, North Korea be next. I'd put.
So see, and that's what I'm saying. There's actually quite a few people that would fit into that category of being royalty or hierarchy or
Right.
Yeah, but look at how they protect their hierarchy. I mean, they are known killers. You know,
they do.
And that's what I'm saying.
I
I don't know that any of them aren't technically known for doing something horrible.
Right. You know,
but you don't. You hear all about the UK, but you don't hear as much in China. But you know it's there.
Yeah, but that's because it's a different culture where they don't talk about it because they are going to be taken and disappear completely off the face of the earth. So they know.
And plus, they own they own the media, they own everything, and that's what same thing is happening over here nowadays. You know, and everything else. We're all pushing towards communism. You know, it's weird.
Right,
but you know what I think?
The same thing that would be North Korea. Well, they aren't going to go against him because they know if they do, they're put into a camp or they are murdered. Like, you just don't do it.
Right.
Yeah, you don't do it. But, the funny thing about it is that, this was in 97, and, we've had, when her death was, and look at all the things that were happening in the world before that. You had Reagan, he had an assassination attempt, all these different things. And look, and Diana has always been considered super royalty, even when she comes to the United States. Anywhere she traveled, she had a force with her that was just incredible. And they plan routes, they plan all these things. We
saw her once.
Right, and just imagine that. I mean, hospitals are notified. All these things. There is a plan to do. If something would happen, there is a plan already in hand. And what happened here? You see the plan go totally awry. I mean, who was? You think that she just had a bodyguard that was driving the car, and there was nobody else around. And where was the rest of the vehicles? You think you just drive off in a car? I mean,
no. There should have.
Well, actually, for her, yes.
Think about it.
For her, yes, because the Queen openly pulled all other security off of Diana.
And there you go.
That was done years before. That was done when her and Charles split.
Right.
Yeah, but the money that Diana had, and and look at who was around her. Egyptian
billionaires,
Mohammed billionaires.
Yeah, why would
they have
he
their
have
own
his own?
Force.
He would have had his own bodyguards and his own.
I would think.
Set of people that would have been following. I
mean, logic just tells you that. I mean, golly, it's just. That's logical, and the things that are planned and the things that are in there when you come to any city or any town, and even though, the paparazzi are there, the paparazzis are everywhere. They're always doing everything that they can to get the pictures because that's how they make their money.
Well, we could even look at it on a lesser scale. When we do Olympics or even Olympic trials somewhere, it's a full scale. Everyone in the area knows that this is going on. There's security. There's everything.
Oh, yeah.
And these people aren't even royal. I mean, they aren't. They're just normal people that are really good at some sport.
Right, which goes to show why was she just in one car? I mean, even so, look at our former presidents. Our former presidents still have Secret Service details, and they're former presidents. They're not even royalty.
Right, and they even have other cars that are actually driving that you don't know whose car is what. What car he's in.
Exactly.
Can we look at the other
The
side?
official version of that is the fact that she was so She hated the paparazzi so much. She could not stand them.
Yeah, well, you know, if
2 cars brings more paparazzi. She did not travel in British royalty cars. She had 2 cars personally bought, and they were under the insurance type thing,
right,
and registration of the British royal family, but they didn't have royal plates.
Well,
can I ask though?
Like Izzy just said, they typically have a backup car, but they chose at the last minute not to use it that night.
So we've talked about the possibility of it maybe being somebody from MI6 or something of this nature.
Right.
Well, how was the relationship? Did the father of the boyfriend like her? Did he want her as an outside Christian coming into his Muslim family?
And that's also usually taboo.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So on the other side of that, you also have the tensions there, and I don't know how their relationship was. I don't know if that was open and okay.
Great.
Yeah,
and that's from both sides.
Well,
she was welcomed into that family.
And looking at that, so Egyptian.
Well, I would say that too, though. I mean,
well, no, that's also from Diana's sisters.
But you look at people who hear Muslim, they don't think about Egypt. Egypt is a lot more liberal when it comes to Muslim.
Absolutely.
You look at Iraq, you look at Afghanistan, you look at those are the Islamic countries that are a little more, I guess you could say, comparing it to here, liberal versus conservative, you would say their Islamic culture is a lot more, oh my God, taboo. Egypt, a lot more liberal.
Well, you know what they say about Egypt, right?
What's that?
It's full of Egyptians.
Well, yeah.
But, I mean, what I'm trying to say, though, is that, so you got all these people connected to, the Queen, okay? So you got a crap ton of people that it goes through the line, like we were talking, the telephone line, everything else. Right. Well, you got to expect the same thing on the other side of that as well. That just because he was okay with it, just because his family was okay with it, just because everything was working here, does that mean that the 2,000 people under him were okay with it?
I would have to say, I would have to say probably because of the fact that, again, Egypt is a lot more, I mean, they are Muslim, yes. They are Islamic, yes. But they're a lot more on the liberal side of that.
Okay. Unlike,
Pakistan, Iraq, Afghanistan, or Iran for damn sure. So
with the camera thing, there were 10 CCTV cameras along the route.
Right, and
none of them saw any. The reason being is because they were all facing the buildings.
Was she traveling with Bigfoot?
Now the other thing is there are 2 traffic monitoring cameras.
Okay.
One as you enter the tunnel, one as you exit the tunnel. That department closes down at 11 p.m. And they don't have anyone working at night. They don't take recordings. Because traffic stops at 11 p.m. apparently in France. Really, people?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it says she read 17 CCTVs.
The 10 I'm talking about are on the route. The 17, that includes the ones at the Ritz.
Right.
And the traffic cameras.
And they were all either off or malfunctioning.
Yes.
Now, ain't that convenient?
Now, that was the problem that they claimed at the Ritz, was that all of their outdoor cameras were malfunctioning.
Huh.
So there's no video of them getting into the cars. There's no video of any of that.
So
the only video or only picture, still images they have are of them in the lobby. And the main one is the boyfriend leading Diana.
And do you know, I mean, think about this for a second. You're talking Princess Diana. Can you imagine, and I'm sure this was a pre-planned visit to the Ritz, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Well, all of her stuff had to
go
through
Can you imagine
planning.
The security measures that the Ritz and anyone in the route would take, even just for Princess Diana, even though she's not? No. BS.
Paul was her security officer, or her bodyguard, right, that night? He's also the security officer for the Ritz.
Yes.
Well,
and apparently he's an MI6 agent.
So they were like, yeah, you're covered.
Yeah.
But see, this is the thing that hits me then. Well, okay, so with the response time, with everything else, and we have no idea when she actually entered the tunnel, if she even entered the tunnel, because there's no footage of it.
Nope.
So the only thing that you have is you have her in like an elevator or in a lobby, and then
Nothing.
like 4 hours later, you have still pictures coming out of an accident that supposedly happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right, in a tunnel that...
Right, so
No
you
one
don't
can
even
see.
know if this actually happened in the tunnel or not.
Now, due to certain UN laws, part of the inquest had to be shut down. Part of that Operation Puget.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being is because they're not allowed to investigate certain agencies in other countries.
Okay, so that would be like MI6 coming here and investigating CIA.
Apparently, it
Right.
wasn't to quite a few people. It wasn't MI6. It was CIA.
CIA, you're right.
Oh, CIA
Oh,
that wasn't
imagine
allowing
that.
it. Okay, cool.
I hate
so
the
now we're
CIA.
getting
Now, for one big reason.
every country involved. Okay.
Right?
Diana's main purpose in life was to make it so that there was no more war.
Right.
But war is profit.
How do you do that?
You sell arms for one.
Get rid of guns.
Yep.
Yep.
You're an arms dealer. And who's the biggest arms dealer in the world? The United States.
So those parts of Operation Puget never actually got into the inquiry. They never made it to court because they're not allowed.
That's why honestly the CIA needs to be abolished.
But at that rate, so does the
So does MI6,
What's-
so does Interpol,
FBI?
so does...
what's that Russian one?
Which one?
What's the Russian one? Not the KGB. What are they now?
Oh,
GSB? Is it the
Dang.
GSB?
Okay.
the intelligence version? Yeah.
We can talk about that on
We
speaker.
talk about it when we want.
They haven't. if we say something too bad, they'll get rid of Barry. That's what they do.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Barry's phone
Exactly.
just dropped.
I already have my own problems.
So, you know what? When it comes to
Yeah.
Homeland Security, it's interesting because there's 22 agencies within Homeland Security, the FBI, FEMA, and all these different agencies, but not the CIA. And, you know, Cole and I have talked about this before. Why would that be? Well, the CIA does everything outside the United States, whereas the FBI focuses mostly on domestic terrorism and issues within the United States
Right,
borders.
but isn't that what Interpol's for?
No,
No.
Interpol is not part of the United States at all.
But the CIA
Yeah,
has
yeah.
always been the problem. When you're talking mind
Yeah.
control, when you're talking...
FSB, that's it.
Yeah, and you're talking about, it's like kind of going, okay, we all believe that the CIA does not operate in the United States either, right?
No, they do. They do. They operate here as well as,
Everywhere else?
they're the ones that step on
Yeah.
everybody's toes, and they're the ones that kill
So-
everybody off.
I had Eric watch a movie that I found the other day.
Oh, Mile 22. No,
Yeah,
that was
Mile
awesome.
22. It is 22 Mile.
22 Mile. There you go.
It is a very good movie, and it actually shows how the CIA does Black Op. I love that part. All of them sitting there, and the only thing he said to his superior was, "Can you write up my resignation for me?"
Yeah, they turn
And
into
then they
ghosts.
all signed their resignation, quit from the CIA. They are no longer associated with the United States. Boom, they can do anything they want.
Yep, they became ghost agents.
Oh,
And
Right,
if they make it,
exactly.
they hired again.
Anyway, with that, it is already
Oh,
at
Jesus.
the
wow.
top of the
Okay.
second hour. And when we come back, we will carry on with JFK and the Kennedy curse.
Curse
And
of the Kennedys.
some of the UFO updates that's been going on lately. in
And our
the
creature
last couple
battles.
months. And creature battles.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
there we
Creature
have
Battle, can't wait for that
Cryptonesia.
one.
With Hell Within.
You
Right.
are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to S-4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Welcome back to S4. I hope you're enjoying the show tonight. It's been fun for us, and I hope you're having fun listening. So we're coming right back into creature battles.
Oh, yes.
Before we get there, if anyone from the CIA is listening and you had anything to do with something on August 1997, send us a letter.
Right?
Let us know.
We'd like to know.
Yeah, please let us know.
I swear we won't tell nobody.
Right.
Really? I've got my fingers crossed.
If I see any red dots in my house that you don't know how fast I can send an email, don't even.
Alright, so here we go. Creature battles. So this week's creature battle went old school, and we went vampire versus mummy.
So real quick, Barry, who would win?
Yes.
Vampire or mummy?
It was really funny. I had this discussion a little bit earlier because I was posting some stuff. Someone else sent me a thing, and they went, "Well, what'd you go with?" And of course, I'm going with the mummy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Gotta be the mummy.
Uh-huh.
I mean, mummies are, golly, you can cut them in half, their hands still come after you, and everything else. And the biggest part about it is that vamps need, they can take a beating, all right? But, they, when they lose blood, so if you're battling a vamp, stab them a few hundred times, it takes time for them to regenerate. And how do they regenerate? By blood.
Yeah.
Well, they're not gonna be able to bite a mummy and get any blood. I got news for you.
Right.
You know, and so the mummy can rip them apart, take their head out, stick their hand right through their heart, pull it out of there, and guess what? You know, stab it 1,000,000 times.
No
and
more vampire.
I mean, no more vampire.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, vampires are dangerous things, but man, let me tell you something. I'd rather deal with a vampire than I would a mummy.
Sure.
Totally dumb thought here, but I was just thinking, like, okay, mummies don't have blood; it dried out.
They took it.
Yeah,
out.
right.
Not
Yeah,
all
I mean, it was just like
Okay.
it's
not all of them,
it's
because
gone.
some people were mummied alive, mummified alive.
Right, and then they're just beef jerky.
Yeah, but okay, so the blood's all dried out; it's powder, pretty much.
Right.
So vamp just sits there and kind of.
Just add water, like instant blood.
Well, no. You went a lot cleaner than I did, because I went straight to cutting lines and rolling up a $1 bill.
Yeah.
That's straight injection into the bloodstream.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that work better than just regular blood?
You know, it'd be.
No.
Never? How would you know?
No.
I don't know.
No,
I have never snorted any mummy, but
So what?
So
So what do our listeners have to say?
our listeners overwhelmingly said vampires. We have an overwhelming amount of people that would go for the vampires. And you know, to be perfectly honest, as far as I'm concerned, old school vampires were awesome. Okay?
Right.
I loved old school vampires. I was like, man,
Bram
they got
Stokes.
these magic eyes. They can
Right.
make you do stuff. They got all these Anne Rice vampires, Bram Stoker vampires. Awesome.
I think my favorites were Lost Boys.
Oh,
Kiefer-
Lost Boys
Kiefer
was
Sutherland.
good, yeah. But then you got into the fact that all of a sudden they're romanticized,
Right.
and now they sparkle in the sunlight. And
Well, okay, let's be fair, though. The vampire was
Sparkly.
always romanticized.
yes,
Even Nosferatu.
yes, but more in a
Yeah.
he seduced me kind of way versus a I sparkled in the sun and she was like, damn.
That's still seduction, because the seduction itself has changed.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. I guess
Yeah.
they got to change with the times, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You show up with a gold chain now that's seducing a woman.
Okay, but you know, I guess I never
A girl.
got the
Sorry,
fact
not a
that,
woman.
okay, so there's a live chick, and she either gets to go for bestiality or necrophiliism. So,
That was a mummy bestiality.
no, I'm talking, okay.
You meant Twilight.
Jeez.
And we're
Where-
supposed to sit there and be like, that's awesome, go for the vampire.
Oh,
That's
exactly,
awesome,
yeah.
go for the dog.
I was just
Like-
thinking with the mummy thing, like, she's not going after the guy's cat.
No, that's straight up necrophilia either way. Okay? But, yeah, overwhelmingly, vampires.
So what were
That's-
some of the comments?
Some of the comments that we got here, just give me 1 second.
Yeah, she doesn't even have those loaded
Oh,
up.
okay.
I had it
She's
loaded
good at
up.
this.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh,
So, some of our comments from the website are mummies versus vampires. It would be vampires because they sparkle. Just kidding.
Yes.
I'd rather stick a vampire with bloodlust. I'm sorry. It's too small in my brain.
Okay, just kidding. I'd rather stake a vamp with bloodlust, inaccurate romantic notions, which goes poof at dawn, rather than a dude that leaves scrapes of gauze everywhere and moans instead of communicates. Of course, I'm probably wrong about this. You are wrong about this, unfortunately, because it's not you fighting the creature. It's the creature fighting the creature. So, unless you're the mummy, you ain't stinking no vamp.
Nope.
Okay. And then we also got one on our website for the mummy.
We have a
And they
website for the
said-
mummy?
Oh man, mummy's got websites too.
Yes.
So, mummy versus
Mummy
vampire, the mummy would win. Why? Vamps need blood to regenerate. Mummies
Absolutely.
win by stabbing vampires over and over again. And last one in the vampire's heart. Can't get blood from a mummy.
Nope.
Alright. But yes, in overall votes, the vampires did win.
Huh.
Well, that's the romantic of the people nowadays, you know.
Right.
I gotta say.
No.
And vampires are nasty, you know.
Do you want some of the comments off Facebook?
If you would like.
I have them.
Absolutely, go ahead.
All right, Michael Bundy. Really? The goal was vampire versus mummy. He says Bigfoot. He's the ninja of the cryptid world. Both Drac and Ramses would go to lay down for a nap, and then bam, a poison dart of elderberry from the shadows.
No,
Who did it? No one knows. But there's a partial print you can plaster cast.
You missed the Bigfoot. Bigfoot was already in a creature battle.
Mummy's been sleeping for how long? Why would he go for a nap?
No.
Right?
He's awake, he's rejuvenated.
Yeah.
And his
He'd be
medical
getting
tape
that
is
mummy
falling off.
money.
Oh. All right. So next week, or this week rather, we
have Bloody Mary
Ooh.
versus Candyman.
Candyman.
We are doing a straight up mirror
whatever.
battle.
Ever. Oh, wait a
Mirror realm
minute.
battle.
I'm saying Candyman. He's got bees. Come on now.
She'll bring a murder hornet.
Nope. Nope. Candyman's got bees. They're gonna sting Bloody Mary to death.
Oh, we will see what our viewers believe.
So make sure you go on the website or Forest Moon Paranormal Group and put your vote in.
Or S-4 Paranormal Radio at Facebook. On Facebook.
At Facebook, yeah, on the page. On the page. Gotcha.
We also got this up on our Twitter page. What's
We
our
have it up
Twitter?
on Twitter?
Well, we will.
Yeah, at the end of the show.
It's
By
not
the
up.
end of the night.
It's not up yet. It's not up yet.
But yes, it will be on the Twitter page as well. That's at S4 Paranormal Radio.
Ooh, J-Ron.
And follow us on Twitter, guys.
J-Ron wants to see Mummy versus Yeti, a cage match.
Oh, God.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know. You know, I still gotta go with the mummy because all he has to do is be like, "Rawr, give me my arm, slip that back in, give me my other arm." You know,
Right?
he's like nearly impossible to
He
kill
could
without
also-
the book.
Well, plus he has the control of the scarabs.
And you need,
that's true.
Right.
That's the thing. Like,
exactly.
you got to remember,
You know.
he is a mystical creature.
Yeah.
And so
And I
he
am pretty
does
sure
have
that
magic.
the Yeti does not know how to read ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics.
Nope.
Although I would have to ask, where is that cage match?
Oh, if it's in Antarctica, he could just shatter him to pieces. I mean, like,
Yeah, but at the same time, if it's in Egypt, Yeti's screwed.
Well, they,
yeah, because he's
Yeah.
gonna
No,
just
but
sweat to
That's
death.
right.
They already tried that with 30 Days of Night, remember? 30 Days of Night was in Alaska.
Alaska
And that was all
vampires.
vampires.
Yeah, buddy.
Stupid vampires, but yeah. So,
Yeah, those
yes.
were more like a freaking zombie horde than they were vampires.
Like Izzy said in the chat room, yes, the next week's vote is already up on the website. Go in there and get your vote cast for Bloody Mary versus Candyman.
Come on, bloody people. Let's get that Mary going.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, I like
I mean,
Candyman better.
And we are talking about, like, you know, the actual Bloody Mary that lives in a mirror, not the drink.
Huh? Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because that would kill bees immediately. They'd just be like, ooh, yum, and die.
Hey, you know, I got to tell you guys something. Before, I'm one of the older guys. But where I grew up, there was no Bloody Mary. It was always Mary Worth.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, and then Mary Worth became Bloody Mary.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting fact in my life.
So,
But I will tell you, I had a solid year that I hated driving in my car, looking in my rearview mirror.
Oh, dude, do not get me started on mirrors. Mirrors and me do not get along.
right,
I do not even own one, actually.
Absolutely. So we are going to actually probably do a full show just on JFK, his life, the times, where the JFK curse came from.
Sometime in August, we were thinking.
Yeah,
Sometime around
in
there.
August I think we'll do that show. But now I want to hear what's going on. We're all about current events when it comes to paranormal current events, and there's a lot of stuff going on in Kentucky. So tell us about what's going on in Kentucky there, Barry.
Always. There's a lot of UFOs, as I mentioned to you guys earlier. It's not coming through our MUFON sites. We're still getting MUFON reports in Kentucky, but some of the ones we're getting is coming directly through to us. I was talking to someone in Tennessee also today, and it's quite interesting some of the things that we're coming across. And we do the paranormal. Our teams do it all, a little bit of everything, and it has been one thing after another. And today we were talking about some of the things that are going on in Kentucky with UFO reports, very close encounters. They seem to be everywhere here in Kentucky, and it's being followed with another thing, missing people. I keep on always reminding people the 37th parallel runs through Kentucky and Tennessee, and if you're within a degree either way, you're going to have some strange things happening.
For sure.
And the cave systems around these areas are just laden with stuff. And I was talking to a gentleman today that was telling me that in his county there are 3 missing people that just went missing. Their clothes were found folded up again, and the
folded up clothes is a perfect pattern of missing 411. So
411, exactly. And we've had all kinds of crypto reports and things coming up from cave systems, and of course we also have all the rumors that are out here. And I'll say rumors, but I do know that the government does have a lot of stuff going on underground here in mushroom mines and also in the old coal mines. And they're in these areas where a lot of UFOs are being seen and are reported. So we're looking forward to going on these investigations and seeing some more of the stuff that's happening. Abductions seem to be going crazy also. We are getting quite a lot of abduction reports out of the area. So we're really looking forward to it. I was speaking to another person, like I said, in Tennessee today, and we're looking at a close case that's very close to the border and possibly going out and doing some research on that. It's some odd things that are happening there. So it's on, and it's all with the time, the energy levels around here. I don't know how it is where you're at. I can tell you that you go outside and the energy is just totally strange. It's like it's almost dead but dangerous. How can I don't know how to really explain that, but it's just like I'm waiting for that shoe to drop. There is just something.
It's interesting because Cole's son actually saw a UFO, a light within the Big Dipper, like less than a week ago now.
3 nights.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they sat within the Big Dipper, parallel to each other, like right beside each other, and then they crisscrossed a couple times and then flew off in opposite directions.
And that's not a satellite.
And they were just as bright as the Little Dipper stars.
Right.
Right, and we're having those kind of. I've had those reports with constellations and stars moving in the constellations. They look like constellations that come in, even planets. And we had one. I had an experience not too long ago where I looked at something and I was like going, that's got to be a planet. The light is just that bright, and I'm like going, okay, that's got to be Venus. It's up there and it's in that area. And the next thing I know, I'm watching it and it scoots over, and I'm like going, well, I've never seen anything move like that before. And then I got another report the next day about going, did you see that thing that dropped? And it was right down the street from me. The gentleman lives 2 blocks away from me. And actually said, I don't know if you were out, if you had an opportunity to see that. and I saw it, and I went, wow, and it dropped down behind the roof. And, normally when you're looking at the way that the sky moves and anything that's in the sky, the objects, they take so long to move or disappear because of their orbit. And, the next thing you see is it's totally gone. It's not even there. Within 10 minutes, and that's a shocker to me. So, you have to put it up in that place like going, okay, what was that? And again, it's what's really weird is that grab the cell phone, grab whatever to take a picture of it. And I can't take a picture of it. My phone's not working.
Huh.
And that's another thing. I'd love to know how many people are having terrible phone disruptions right now.
Absolutely.
Because
actually, ours are over.
Man.
Yes.
We're good now.
I mean.
Yeah, we're good now, but for that whole day, if you remember, Eric, it was our internet went out, all of our phone signals went out, and we're on different phone services.
Right.
No, well, kind of. We're both running off the same tower.
Oh, are we? Okay.
Yeah.
But Jessica was complaining too, and she runs Verizon.
Verizon was having trouble. All cell phones across the western side of the United States were having trouble.
And Wave went out.
Wave went out.
Pacific Northwest.
Yep. So we didn't have any phone or internet for that entire day.
Yeah, and we had a report that we've done some investigating on certain cell tower sites and everything else because they come and play with some of these UFO sightings. And next thing you know, we hear about the military being up there by them. Things are added to the towers, everything else. So it makes everything kind of very odd. You're like going, how much does this play into everything else? Mm-hmm. And around here, and I've always been known to have cell phone trouble. Anybody that calls me and talks to me, it's like going, uh-oh. And it never seems to cease. It's always when you get to something that's bizarre or paranormal and you say the word, and all of a sudden your phone's like, or it disconnects.
The funny thing about that, too, is I'm a part of a lot of different groups around the world. Understand? And there has been one other thing that's been on the rise these last couple of months too, and it is Fae sightings.
Oh, yes.
There has been a huge uptake in Fae sightings as well.
Elementals and fairies.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. We've been seeing those too, and I've been hearing about them. And what do you do? I mean, it's like going, and the rakes are coming back. I mean, we have had rake reports. I mean, it's, look, where we live here in Kentucky, it's always been a mysterious place. And there's mysterious places all over. I mean, from West Virginia and even in Indiana. I spent the last, a week ago, I was up in Indiana for a week doing paranormal investigations and everything else. And talk about strange stuff. It's, it's everywhere. The high strangeness is coming out with all this other energy. And I don't know if it's all our energy that is causing it by all these people that are going ape shit and want to destroy this and destroy that and do this. And, I don't know where that energy is coming from. But it's disturbing a lot of things, and the earth and everything else is kind of weird. I even yesterday, I always talk about Attingham Hall. Was at Attingham Hall, and I mow this back section for the hall to keep it all cleared off and everything else. And I was riding on the riding lawnmower, and around here and up north, they always talk about corn knee high at 4th of July.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
I was, and I was looking. I said, okay, well, it's a little bit higher than knee high here. Yesterday, I was at, and I'm kind of a tall guy. I'm at 6'6", and I'm sitting out there. I go back out to touring with a good friend, and we go back out there to look, and I'm like going, what the heck? I just mowed this 2 days ago, and now the corn is up 5 feet. Mm-hmm. 6 feet tall. I mean, it's like going, what the heck happened? Mm-hmm. One little rain splurge or something. And
it was magical rain.
Yeah, it was like going, wow, did they really came up with a good fertilizer this year? Because
corn here's only like 3 inches tall.
Yeah, we've got short corn this year.
Yeah,
our
corn
nothing. Is not growing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. We've had so much rain.
It's not even ankle
high. So much rain.
Yeah, and today we just had a massive amount of rain. I don't know what it did to the corn. I haven't been out there, but I mean, it shocked me because, when you're at a place all the time and you're used to looking at it, and I see that corn every day. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden I'm like going, I can't see the things that I saw 2 days ago because the corn is so damn high.
I can tell you something that's really weird that happened to me this year. So I plant gardens. I like gardening. I'm actually usually really good at gardening.
Well, you gotta lie to the people.
Oh, shut up. So this year I planted some strawberries, and I planted a pretty good sized garden down below. And it got so wet, and there were so many slugs.
Well, we had an unusually wet year this year.
My garden, the actual plants molded.
Mm-hmm. We don't get this much rain.
So the roots, the roots
of the plants end up molded and just died out. Yeah. Mm. I was like, well, that sucks.
So
that does suck.
So were there any, when it came to the UFO sightings themselves, other than just seeing the lights dancing around, were there any particular shapes? Did you see any, were any cigar-shaped craft reported? Were any flying discs reported?
There have been discs reported, and the majority of we're having here is these large triangles. People are still seeing the triangles. And the other thing that's amazing is the orange orb.
Still?
Yes. Orbs just seem to be coming out of everywhere. And it's... that's
to
always...
Hunter, that's what he saw, too, was two... smaller orange circles that circled around each other and then went opposite directions really quick.
Right, and that is the stuff that we're seeing more and more of, and what's an orb? Is an orb living energy? And we always talk about this, and I think we've even had this discussion together on some shows about how is it possible that is actually a living being craft that is communicating to us in that form. So
now I may be like way off here and like completely on the wrong spectrum here, but so we have had the Starlink satellites go up, and we have had 5G towers go up, and we've had all these advances in technology along with the COVID-19.
Right.
Do you think that these things are affecting other earthbound creatures and other entities as well? I mean, causing them to appear more frequently, or maybe it's messing with a radar sense that they might have or something like that? Because I've seen a lot of dead birds and bats, too. Which is not something that we see as much of as we've seen these last few months.
Yeah, and the strange crypto creatures that are coming out are also kind of weird. But like we've had some reports of like the hyena type thing with hyena yells, and then even seeing large birds that could be pterodactyl or Mothman type sightings around here also. And so, it's very strange, but EMF and ELF contribute to a lot of different things, and that. I mean, what it can do to you.
That's going on now, we're also in an 11-year solar cycle.
Exactly,
So,
and we're coming out of it.
so many things all at the same time, I think, are just contributing to... You know how they say, well, the full moon must be out? Okay.
Yeah, right. It's out every day.
This is that time where it's like everything's just going wild right now.
So real quick, as soon as you just heard the firework in the background, that brings up a point I was going to bring up anyway. They just kind of added the effect. But we see a rise in UFO reports around the 4th of July because, well, bright lights in the sky kind of piqued their interest.
Not only that, but more people are watching the sky for the lights. Yeah.
True, 100%.
Do you have people lighting up fireworks in Kentucky?
Oh yeah, it's crazy up here. We have you can buy all kinds of fireworks in Kentucky and Tennessee area, and around that time, I mean, I'm surprised I didn't hear any tonight. But normally, for a week before, the week after, there's always a boom, 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 boom. You hear it all the time. But you're right. We have a high amount of sightings. And then for some reason, one of the cool things that everybody seems to use are these Chinese lanterns. And they'll send up Chinese lantern here, and they glow in the dark. They just kind of go with the wind, and man, people see those all the time, and you get a lot of reports of that. And then, but at the other time, you get some very bizarre reports that are to the point where you're seeing a craft, because it's like going, hey, why aren't they going to park up there and watch the show too? I mean, can you imagine what the show looks like up there? I mean, I've been in a plane before.
Right.
During fireworks, it's really cool. But I mean, from where they're looking at it may be really awesome, because they're going to see a lot different thing. But
that brings up a point too. You said that there's a lot of missing people that have been around the caves and different things like that, right?
Yes.
So, if I were to if I'm a kid, if I'm a young adult, or if I'm a kid, and I got a whole bunch of M80s, okay, if I light one of those and I throw that into the front of a cave, it is going to make a way louder bang.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So if you got people throwing explosives into somebody's house and blowing them up, okay, wouldn't they come out and grab you and be like, hey, what the hell?
Right.
Yeah, but you also have to remember that there are some other different things that are happening. When you're an observer and you watch things, just look at the land masses, and we all do it that are this way. You'll see the land changing as it goes. You'll see ripples in the land. You'll see it. One year you look down and you go, that used to be pretty flat. Now it looks like it's starting to sinkhole or something like that.
Right.
And then here in Kentucky, as I mentioned to you before, we are having an obscene amount of earthquakes. That's causing problems. Now the earthquakes, and this is the part that is hard to believe. When you do the research and you look for it, you're going to see them, but you're not going to hear them in the news. You're not going to hear about it. It's going to have to be a 6.0 to get on the news or anybody to say about it.
Right.
But when you have this history or historic thing where you're having 200 earthquakes in a year or more, that's not normal. You're having something vibrating in the ground. Then we have people that are reporting large booms, okay? And I'm talking about whole counties will say, hey, we had a boom here. Did you hear the boom? Did you hear that boom?
We get that all the time up here.
We get them here. And granted, so some of them are the rock quarry, they're blasting. Some of them are the loggers, they're blasting. Some of them are fireworks, M80s and whatnot. But not all of them.
Yeah.
When you have a boom that spans a 40-mile radius, that's not rock quarry.
You're right, exactly. And when it happens at 4 o'clock in the morning, hey, look, yes, there's quarries. Yes, they're going to blow up some stuff.
Right.
But, I mean, stuff that is going to vibrate your home and there's no quarry close to it, or you're going to hear boom, and then you get weird sounds, you know. I actually was talking to someone in northern Kentucky not too long ago, and she was like going, wow, there's a weird sound here. And I'm in southern Kentucky, and all of a sudden I go, wow, does it sound like this? And she was like going, yeah, and I'm hearing the same sound here.
Right.
And it was just a strange, totally different frequency, you know. And again, we're always talking about frequency, energy, and vibration, and what it can do to people. You know, lower frequencies cause people to go a little bit off the deep end. You know, what is going on in this world? We're pretty confused right now. They can do a lot of different things. And we do know, and Eric, I know you know, that there are weapons of destruction in our military that are not talked about and have been seen used by other military members for the last umpteen years. Right. Chain guns, lasers, all that kind of stuff. Rail guns, all that stuff that is not talked about, you know. And just
we
imagine.
We have some of them in Canada that are your guys's.
Right.
Right.
Because, well, we have a bunch of your nukes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how, because
right,
Canada
exactly.
claims to be a non-nuclear company or country, which we are. We do not own any nuclear weapons.
No, there are.
Right.
We just carry yours.
No.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You just hide ours under the ground.
Now, so we talked about the UFOs, and I know you're talking about abductions on the rise too. So tell us about the abductions. Are there any specific races that they're all describing the same, or is it still the Greys? Is it do you have any descriptions of the actual entities that are taking them?
Well, you know what we have here in Kentucky, we have a difference between, we see a lot of them are the Greys, but excuse me. I apologize. I shouldn't try to suck down water at the same time.
That's not good.
You know, but when you're doing
you're supposed to swallow the water.
Right. You know, but when you bring that into play, if you will, I'm trying to regain my thing after that cough because my brain kind of went, blah, 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 I'm dying.
It's the aliens.
Yes, exactly. But you know, we have the reptilians, we have the Greys, but you know, we hear different, the Greys that have almost like a scalier skin. Some of them may be brown or.
Have you gotten any yellow? Reported yellow? No.
I haven't heard a yellow one yet. But yeah, we're getting more white, 5 foot tall, Egyptian style heads. You know, so yeah, I mean it's all over the gamut, and it's different things by all. And I just got some pictures today from an abductee I've been dealing with, and he's been under continuous battles with it and everything else, and he'll get better, and all of a sudden it happens again. And Eric, you know who I'm talking about, and you know, it's just an onslaught. And I mean, I'll send you these pictures. I'd just love you to have you look at them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because man, it's just like woo wee. But there's a lot of different things going on, and you know, people are hearing more and more about abductees and abductions. You know, our radio show tries to bring that out more and more.
Right.
We deal with it a lot. It's just like, you know, we got Terry Lovelace on last week, and we did a show where we're bringing him back on this week to continue his stuff on his book and his abductions. And, you know, we try to make it so that people get more comfortable with telling people about their experiences, just like you guys did, you know.
And you know, and with that, I do want to do another alien race show probably in July. It's gonna match up. I'm pulling up my calendar now. We haven't done. I want new information because everybody hears about the Greys. Everyone hears about the reptilians. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more races out there. There's over 1,000 races that we know about. Mm-hmm. But you know, it's hard to get valid information because every Tom, Dick, and Harry comes out with, I know this one. Not always.
Right.
Well, we do have Jeremy Ray coming on from MUFON. He was a former MUFON member, part of the STARS team.
On the 12th.
Yeah, STARS.
On the 12th.
Right,
so
excellent.
we'll probably, then we have roundtables. We'll probably shoot for an alien race show on the 26th. So definitely go through your files if you could, and we'll definitely have you back on the 26th, as well as next week, to talk specific alien races, what their agendas are, because we do know some of their agendas.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to, man. It's a pleasure to be able to share information and be able to look at all this stuff because it's out there. It's happening.
It
People
makes me
are...
wonder, so we know, like Star Wars, not Star Wars,
Star Trek.
No. The new
Space Force.
There we go.
Yeah, Space Force. Yeah.
It's one of the three.
My mind's in a whirl. So we know Space Force has always been around within different branches of the military.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And now that Space Force has all been joined together, it's not so much against aliens like everyone thinks. It's an intelligence gathering into one branch, which is good for the combat zone. But do you think, and this is a shot in the dark, but do you think this rise in UFOs and the rise in abductions has anything to do with Space Force activities?
I think that's a very strong possibility. You know, I think that there are things that are out here that, and, call me a conspiracy theorist, call me a nut, but for the years that I've been doing this, for the last, 43 years that I've been doing this, and then being an abductee myself at a young age, and going through multiple experiences and dealing with other abductees to help them deal with this stuff. I'm going to tell you something. There's some stuff that's going on, and even the contacts that you make that are in the military that will talk to you, or the deathbed confessions that you get an opportunity to go to talk to or to see, it's just mind-blowing, and I'm along one of those guys that believe that we have a lot more out there, and we're traveling in space, and I think we've talked about it in the past. Mm-hmm. With astronauts and everything else that are seeing things and are reporting it.
All of them.
And yeah, exactly. And so, do we have our own Space Force out there? Are we a federation? Are we moving towards Star Trek and no one ever told us about it? I mean, that's the kind of thing. I mean, and it's funny. I mean, when we see, and I remember reports and large triangle crafts for a long time, and where do they always end up going around this area? They see them and they'll make a hard. I mean, yes, well, they'll make a hard turn. And they always head in a northerly direction, and they're always heading, it seems like you could draw a line through right to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base or to a major military facility.
See, what I think, honestly, is that as a civilization, as a race, for humans, that we're at that brink point where we are either going to completely self-destruct, or we are going to have so much scientific advancement that we are actually at the point where alien contact and everything else will be the norm.
And we'll still self-destruct. But
so I think it depends on which direction we actually end up getting to first.
Here's the problem. science and technology aside, I don't think this race is ready for alien for working together. To be honest with you, most of these races look at us and go, "Look, they can't even get along over a person's skin color. They can't even get this culture." Is so divided and so hate-mongering, warlike. They don't want to work with this race. Seriously.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, you actually get to think in the other side of it also. Was this, look at some of the technology we've gained since Arnold seeing the saucers, Roswell, some of the other things,
right?
Corso, Carolyn Rosin talking with von Braun and the alien threat, all that kind of stuff, and then moving forward into this other stuff, and you look at it, and where does it lead you? It leads you to the point where, maybe there is something to all this. And maybe that the aliens did come to talk to Eisenhower and did make treaties and did do these things that where you say, are the aliens wanting to take over this? Is there a faction of aliens that are working to say, let's take over, we want the gold, we want this, we want that, you know? And enslave the race, and that's the agenda of, and that's the same agenda of you take as the Illuminati or the Bilderbergs or whatever,
See, that's what I've always thought too, is that we cannot be the only, what you would call like warmongering or conquering race. We can't. If you take into account the equation of how many possibilities of life there are out in the universe, right? We cannot be the only ones that go and take over an area. There has to be others as well.
That's where you need to be careful, because whose attention we attract.
Right.
They look at this race, they look at this planet, and the way the races on this planet act is who you're going to bring in. The peaceful, the ones that we want to work with, or we want to be working with, aren't going to be the ones that are going to come down here.
Well, and that's the other thing. No. Okay, so we're sitting out there and we're looking into space and we say, hey, this is a Goldilocks planet. Hey, we could live on this planet. Right? So we're out there, we're trying to find a new planet for our civilization. Well, how many other civilizations have gotten to a point where theirs is worse off than ours, so ours looks like an option to them? Like,
I feel bad for them.
Oh, true.
I mean, everybody's looking at these planets from so far away, they don't see the life on them yet.
Right.
They don't know if there's life on them yet. So if we go over to this planet, and let's say there was some life on there that was like early man, do you think we wouldn't still try to take over that planet because they have the resources and their world isn't as screwed as ours is right now?
Right.
We would anyways.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting when we talk about abductees. I mean, when we've all worked with them, S-4 Paranormal did wonderful things for years with all this stuff, and so that when we talk about abductees and everything else, it's funny that some of the abductees have a great experience, and it seems to be the ones that are, they have bad times, but is that because of my labs watching what's going on and trying to get the information from them because the government wants to know, and that's the way that they'll do it? Is there a good race that's coming? Because we've had reports of orange orbs coming down and something coming after them and moving them off.
But here's where I see that difference. To me, the abductee is the ones having the bad experience, the one that's being tested on, the ones got traumatic events. The ones that are having the good experiences, I call the contactees. Those are the ones, there is a difference. There's a split there. The abductees aren't being asked to be taken. Well, the contactees are the ones that, yes, they are the Space Brothers. They have the ones that are getting wonderful information. And is it valid information? Who's to say? Who's to say they're not being manipulated?
Well, unfortunately,
Right.
as a human race, and with all of our... the way that our mind works, there's also, like, different disorders, like Stockholm Syndrome and stuff,
Absolutely.
too. Where
Sure.
it might be a terrible experience, but to them, that's better than the experience they're having here. So they're okay with the captors.
Mm-hmm.
They're okay with that experience.
Right, but you know, when most people see orange orbs or whatever, they normally talk about a
Like a peacefulness.
peacefulness,
Yes.
right? You know,
Yeah.
very very peaceful and everything else. But then what happens is then they go through these what happens to them? They start seeing helicopters. They're followed by certain things. They're done all
Right.
this way. And so that's where the bad comes in. I mean, because of the fact that if it is a MyLab, MyLabs are as painful as hell.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
And what are they doing? They are trying to get you to give the information or find out more about the information. What have they done to you? Why did they pick you? Why are these good people dealing with you? And we have a lot of people out in our world that are raising up their frequencies while everybody else is being dumbed down at their frequencies.
Right.
And, you know, it's kind of a strange thing. So, from the historical side of it, by looking at generational abductees, are these the ones that are being selected to help the world and raise everybody else up? And our government's like going, oh, why are we? And they've got files on abductees.
Absolutely.
And they're watching those.
It's the government that's going, no, we don't want that.
Right?
We just want to know what you're learning.
Exactly.
Yeah. So with that,
Exactly.
we are coming down to the end of the show. Barry, where can we find Into the Fire?
Oh, Into the Fire, it's on Blog Talk Radio, and it's blogtalkradio.com/Into the Fire. We'll be doing it Tuesday night, June 30th, and again, we'll be doing the second part of Terry Lovelace. And we're really looking forward to having him on and his abductions experience. And we're going to be talking about the odd things that happened with Terry and with the government following him, the helicopters. We're going to continue on to his story of what happened through life and the things that he's dealt with and the things that he has done. You know, here's a gentleman who was a state attorney that didn't do anything and didn't mention anything until after he retired, and then he came forward and penned his book and starts talking about it because of the ridicule and stuff that he had gotten into. Just a super guy, and we're going to be doing that. You can find Into the Fire, of course, on Facebook. You can find S-4 Paranormal on Facebook. You can find myself, Barry Gaunt, Kentucky Truth Seeker, on Facebook also. So please friend me or do whatever you like, and we can converse on Facebook Messenger also.
Outstanding.
Awesome.
And,
And I'll be sure to catch that show on Tuesday. That sounds like an interesting show.
and if you have any experiences in Kentucky, Tennessee area, definitely get a hold of Barry because he's right there. He is your MUFON director for Kentucky.
Yeah, what's good is we're starting to see an upswing on people that wanting to be investigators, and I always enjoy that, and I always get to work with people to be able to bring them forth into the more of the boots on the ground type stuff. So that's what we're looking for.
Nice.
We need good investigators out there.
Absolutely.
So with
sure
that,
do.
folks, make sure you join us next week for our 4th anniversary show. Cole's over here crying. You all need to go over and get your S-4 apron.
Yeah.
From
What the hell, people?
go check out the S4 store on the website www.s-4radio.com. Love seeing all of our international listeners. I watch the numbers. I watch who listens. I know we have a huge following in the UK.
You stalker.
Yeah. So, folks, join us next week for the anniversary show, and then of course we have Jeremy Ray.
Don't forget to go for the check for the creature versus creature for the voice vote.
Who is going to win?
What happened to you?
Who is going to win? Is it going to be Bloody Mary or is it going to be Candyman?
Bloody Mary.
So, we will see you next week. Have a safe 4th of July. Be careful of those fireworks.
Happy Canada Day to Canada.
Happy Canada Day, Canada. And remember, keep your eyes to the skies.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.